All right. It looks like it works. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the always on time Monday night D&D stream. We are always precisely on at 6 o'clock Pacific. Never late. Never technical difficulties. Ev-
Never.
Everything always works just fine. I mean, it's not like not like the new layout completely just died on me as I tried to boot it up. No. No, that didn't happen whatsoever. Everything's fine. This is fine. When this goes up
We're
on
fine.
YouTube, I can pretend that everything is just fine.
We're
So,
fine. How are you?
You're the one with technical difficulties, not us.
now I just have to try not to break it any further. Now my mouse is flickering. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care about anything anymore. Right? Let's just get things underway. And previously on Dungeons and Dragons, the party made it to the old signal tower known as Firefinger at the behest of their guide, Azaka. They were able to, waiting until the dead of night during a torrential, what's the word I'm looking for?
Downpour.
Well, yeah, no,
Storm?
I was going with torrential downpour, and then a tropical storm is what I meant to be saying. During a tropical storm, and in the middle of the night, they snuck in so that they could get back Azaka's mask from some terrafolk. They made their way up the tower. At one point, they managed to find a birdman who they set free. His name was Nefir. And Nefir told them, Nefir was very grateful for the rescue, and told them to visit Kur Sabal, where him and the rest of his Aarakocra brethren, that's where they live, and he marked it on their maps. You guys made your way up to the top, where Jez, as Jez tends to do, triggered the encounter while he was the only one there, while attempting to sneak through. You guys got into a harrowing fight with a whole bunch of terrafolk, finding out that your guide has been keeping a secret from you. That she's secretly a were-tiger.
All that.
And you guys managed to best all the terrafolk, and that is where we left off. So you guys are on top of Firefinger. It's late. There's probably only an hour or two before morning. So all the terrafolk seem to be dead, including their big leader, who was just a bigger, nastier looking terrafolk with a giant scar. So
We want to get into that building.
Did we get the door down?
you
No.
guys sort of half got it down. You guys can
Finish doing that.
take a crack at just kind of beating the door in. Oh, let's pause my own stream.
Is Asaka still a tiger?
No, with the battle over, she's transformed back into a woman.
I will ask her, did you put that scar on him once upon a time?
She's like, no, if I had the ability to get my hands on him, without getting ganged up on by the rest of those terrafolk, there'd be a lot more than a scar on him, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, by the way, she's a were-tiger, guys. You
I
guys
think,
noticed.
know.
I think everybody managed to figure it out. I think even Wacky managed to make it up to the top by the time the...
Yeah, she's just peeking out.
So,
It was
yeah.
as
You
I was caught
guys...
behind Pyro and Azaka.
Yeah, so you guys are able to kind of kick the thing down. Inside, inside the sort of little base of the the little tower building, you find a few it's pretty claustrophobic in here. It's not a very big room. It's 20 feet wide by maybe 15 feet deep. The corner of which has kind of got like a big... It's at a kind of an angle, as it's not a perfect square. The back edge of it is kind of rounded almost a bit to sort of match the top of the spire itself. Inside you find some rudimentary beds, just sort of hay thatches that it looks like they've been used as bedding. And you see a bunch of wooden boxes. They're not really in the greatest repair, but you see a bunch of them just kind of piled up in the corner.
I'm gonna tap one with my sword.
It responds. It responds exactly as you would expect a moldy wooden chest to respond.
There's
I
only
usually
one
start
floor,
breaking
right?
open.
Oh, shut up, cat. What was that, Wacky?
There's only one floor, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
All
we're
right.
opening boxes. Like I do every day at work.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I open
How
So
much
these
is
are-
each box?
Yeah, these are D&D loot boxes. They will cost $1.99 a piece. There's a chance to get a magic item inside. So you guys start fishing through boxes. You crack them all open. Inside, you find 2,000 copper pieces, 730 silver, 4 gemstones worth 50 gold each, and you find a spell scroll. When you open up the spell scroll, it seems to contain the spell Commune with Nature.
It's a good thing that someone's coming back later. Spoilers.
Then one
We
of the
don't know.
one of the chests also contains a wooden mask wrapped in cloth. The mask resembling a stylized tiger's face.
Yep, found it.
I guess we'll hand that one to Azaka. And I will look back. Is there any plate armor anywhere, or any sort of heavy armor?
No, you don't. You don't seem to think that the Terrafolk really care much for plate armor. I would like all 3 of you to just give me perception checks. Azaka takes the mask from you and she like unwraps it and kind of, she like checks it out, makes sure that it's okay, and then she stashes it back in her bag and she thanks the lot of you profusely for your help in returning her mask to her. Missing somebody. Missing Jizz.
Don't worry,
So
buddy.
who won? Wacky won. Wacky, give me a percentile.
We are so bad at those.
See, this is gonna. I was gonna say like if it's lower than 50, just don't bother. But I'm just gonna add 50 to that because the last time I did that, we were like here all freaking night.
Yeah.
So you, Wacky, like sort of sorting through all this stuff, you also find a stoppered vial of that contains some kind of liquid. The liquid's it's a little thick. It doesn't really look much like a healing potion, and there seems to be a little bit less than you would typically have in like a potion. Like it seems like a much smaller vial, and it's got kind of a greenish hue to it. Until
Is it the same
until
one
I
that
actually
we
look
got
up the specifics in the DMG, and then it tells me, no, it's blue, you fucking idiot. Final Boss also tells me it's fucking chapter 8.
Would any of us here be able to like roll anything to see if we know what it is, or?
Give me Arcana. Okay, so you believe
I'll roll it down.
you believe that it is a poison.
Oh yeah.
It is in fact a poison that I will look up later. It is a
All right.
you know the worst part? It's a wyvern poison.
Ooh.
It is a stoppered vial of wyvern poison. I'll have to look up the actual specifics of it in the DMG when I have a minute. Or Jez can do it. One of the two.
Oh, okay.
What do you want, Cat? Now that I'm in widescreen, people can see you creeping into the frame a lot easier. So that is all you managed to find. As you guys finish rummaging, you spend some time in there and sort of sorting yourself out, maybe kicking a few Terrafolk bodies off the top of the tower just to get rid of them. By the time you're all finished up, the sun is rising, and the rain seems to have died down. As daylight sort of peeks over the tree line of Cholt, you can see quite a bit further. You can see probably about 20 miles out in every direction, which is essentially 2 hexes, which doesn't really help you too much. You
Sure
can
doesn't.
what I can do for you is...
So while you're doing that, a wyvern poison is an injury poison, which means applied to a slashing or piercing weapon, and it lasts until you hit with it. And it creature subjected to the poison makes a DC 15 Constitution saving throw, taking 7d6 poison damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one.
76. Jesus.
That's some pretty good poison, yeah. So you're able to see. I filled in your map a little bit for about 20 miles out. You will also have a much smaller DC when you roll to sort of move out. Like when you start heading back in through the jungle, you'll have a much easier time figuring out where you're going. So all that's left is to figure out how you're getting down.
Well, we already know how we're getting down, don't we, Wacky?
We just
Well-
kind of have to talk someone into it.
Yeah, so
We're gonna
as
be like,
ever since you guys returned the mask to Azaka, she's been waiting outside, and you find her sitting basically dead center on the top of the tower, like just sort of sitting down low to the ground, so that she can't really see over any of the edges.
we're gonna be like, hey, Azaka. So we know this really, really
You're
safe
gonna do that.
and fast way to get down, but you gotta have to close your eyes and trust us.
Make a persuasion check. She seems a bit apprehensive, and is not a. She's
No.
she's looking at you as you like explaining this, and she's like, "What? Yeah, what do you mean like just fall off?"
Basically. Yeah.
So, cat, I need my d20s. So after the events of the last 2 weeks in the jungle here, she has sort of grown to trust you guys fairly implicitly. So she hesitantly agrees to
Oh god.
basically do whatever you want.
The other plan would be
I feel
to
so bad about this.
take these terror folk and turn them into hang gliders.
That'll take way too much time.
Definitely.
And there's probably also a very good chance of that failing horribly.
A lot of chance.
I was gonna
So-
say, I could get you guys down safely, then I could just go with Azaka and climb down.
Well, Azaka she seems hesitant to climb back down as well, because you remember
Alright.
there are
Yeah.
ladders that you have to climb down that are attached to the outside of this tower. So she's going to be terrified regardless, and now that it's daytime and the weather's cleared up,
This is the best way to do it.
yeah.
Maybe you could put her to
Fastest
sleep
way.
first. If she's that
Well,
terrified.
no, because it's got to be free. Featherfall only works on willing targets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's with willing targets.
Go read it
She-
real quick.
She's kind of like you, even though you haven't explained exactly what you're going to do. She's kind of trusting in what Pyro said. So
I will explain what it is. I'm gonna be like, so
she
we
just
are just we're gonna jump. Well, Wacky's gonna slow, but Karen's gonna slow us way the hell down, so we'll be fine.
so you see her eyes just go bug-eyed, and she looks at Wacky, and then she looks at you, and then she looks at Wacky again, and then she looks at you. And
I'll
her-
just note it doesn't have to be willing.
It doesn't know.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
But
not gonna knock her out.
It would be best. 'cause
She's
what we
gonna
want to
make.
do-
She's gonna make a wisdom saving throw. To see if she freaks the fuck out. She does not freak the fuck out, and so you see her like nod her head, but like she's visibly shaken. But she seems to be going
Like,
along
we're
with
gonna
it.
do is we're gonna-
This will be way over your fear of heights.
We're gonna
You'll be fine
we're gonna tie each other together so we all stay in
next to
a
each other. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a 60 feet radius.
I mean, as long as we tie with you in the middle, it should be fine.
Yep. So you guys spend a minute tying yourselves up. You all approach the ledge. Azaka.
Now, which way do we want
I'd
to
like to
go?
apologize in advance, Azaka.
Which way do we want to go? Because this might
That is
take us
not
a
a good
little
idea,
bit
Wacky.
further.
Don't do that right now.
Well, you don't really end up with too much drift. Plus, like, there's a little bit of
Yeah,
a
but we
clearance.
don't wanna-
You basically want to just probably jump straight down the tower. You're not going to
Okay.
get too far out, and if you did get too far out, you're just going to end up in some trees.
We do have a clear, straight shot down, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's like a little bit of clear space around the base of the tower.
We just gotta clear the actual mountain.
Like,
Well, no,
yeah,
because
I was gonna say, I
this
don't
tower
wanna-
is vertical. It's straight vertical the whole way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as you go 5 feet out, you will go
Okay.
all the way down.
Then yeah, we'll just go to the south part and
Yep.
jump to the bottom of the south part, right?
Okie
Is that
We're
the
dokie.
going
place
that way anyways.
That's closest to where we make camp, because we do have to go pick up the rest of our stuff as
Oh
well.
yeah. Our
Yeah.
camp is
It
north.
does, like, the tower's only like 50 feet wide,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter.
Either way, we'll go northeast because that's roughly where our camp is,
Okay.
based off of where
So-
the river is north.
So who's jumping first?
We're all jumping
We're all
together.
jumping
We're tied.
together.
Okay. So the three of you jump.
If the pole's
Azaka,
on
like
it.
the rope, Azaka kind of jumps as the rope goes taut, and it kind of just like pulls her along, anyways. And you hear
I'm gonna
her
be
like
screaming.
you hear her like screaming at first until Wacky actually casts her spell.
And then it's gonna be a minute of her screaming. We're still falling.
Give
60
or
per
take,
second.
yeah, it's gonna be about like 45 seconds of.
I'm screaming too. I am loving this. I'm like,
I'm probably used to it.
So I'm assuming Wacky casts her Featherfall.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
begin to somewhat slowly descend. You're still going at about 10 feet a second, so it's not particularly slow. After about 20 seconds, the screaming, like sort of the screaming at the back of the pack from Azaka seems to stop. You look back and you see that she's just kind of like curled up in a ball, like with her eyes closed at this point. Like she's kind of given up on screaming because after a few seconds of this, she realized like, well, it ain't getting any better anytime soon.
Just gonna give her a pat
So-
on the back.
You guys get about halfway down, and I would like all of you to give me perception checks.
ugh.
Oh, I'm the perceptive one this time.
So,
Yeah.
you guys all
Screaming.
like. So you guys all notice that there seems to be something moving around on one of the bodies. Because remember, there was like a bunch of bodies that the Terrafolk had dropped off this tower that you had found. And it looks like
No.
there's something on top of them. It's about medium-sized, and it looks like a big bundle of like rags and leaves and sticks and twigs and mud. It's like this just big mound of just foliage. It looks like a big lump of the forest floor is just kind of like moving around. Like it's kind of wiggling around over top of one of the bodies. As you continue to descend, you see that after like a few seconds, it stops and then it like shambles over, you know, at about regular like walking pace. It kind of moves over to a different body. The body it left seems to be in about the same state that you left it. It doesn't look devoured or like anything went wrong with it. And you see that this like mound kind of continues going from body to body until you all eventually reach the ground.
Does it hear us? Because I am kind of screaming.
I'm sure I heard you.
It may have heard you. You're not sure. It seems to be just doing its own thing.
Well, not sure what was down at the bottom. Oh, while falling, I would have.
It seems to be
as best
about
as I
the
can.
size of a humanoid, like a medium creature.
It's a lot of
Walking
them
around
now.
like a zombie, is it?
Well,
It does seem to be moving faster than a zombie.
And it's also not eating the things like a ghoul would.
No, it seems to just be moving from body to body, perhaps checking them out or looking for something. But it just doesn't seem to be doing anything to the bodies, as far as you could tell.
Well, we've landed now, right?
Yep, you're on the
Yeah.
ground.
How far
All
away
tied
is it from
together.
us?
It's probably about 60 feet away from you.
Does it see us? Do we have a clear line of sight at it?
Yep. You don't seem to see any limbs or face or eyes or anything like that, so perhaps it hasn't noticed you. Perhaps it doesn't have those things.
I'm gonna start untying the ropes while he's looking off in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah, quietly.
Okay, you take a minute, undo your knots.
I'm gonna make sure Azaka's okay as well. I'm gonna, that was
Yeah,
fun, right?
Azaka looks shaken, and then she kind of points to the thing. Like, she points to the thing in front of you guys and shrugs her shoulders, like what the fuck is that?
That's what we're
She-
wondering.
She seems about as
Shut up.
clueless as you guys.
Well, I'm gonna take point so that I put myself in between it and us, or the rest of us, so that I'm in the middle.
Do you want to creep up to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it quietly. So that
I'll
everyone
get in
knows.
front of Azaka and Wacky, or I keep calling you Wacky. Karen.
Okay.
Ron.
So it's just going from body to body.
Seems to be. You get about halfway up to it. And once you get it probably about 30 feet away, you see sort of a smaller lump kind of just sort of like dart up. Like maybe almost like a head. And then it turn to your direction. And it looks like it almost looks like a hood at this point. You can see that like sort of the cloth and that sort of creates like a hollow up at the top. Like perhaps this is some kind of cloak.
Like a ghillie
It's
suit.
possibly. It's very ghillie suit looking. You can't really see the face of what might be inside, but it just kind of like intently looks at you, and you see it kind of tilt its head a little bit, and you hear a sort of like raspy voice just say, "It's you."
It's who?
It's me.
Zabumafu. I'm gonna ready a bow. My short bow just in case.
I
Okay.
don't recognize the
probably
voice,
would've-
do I?
You can't see the face. You just
No,
It's-
the
it's-
voice.
give me a history check.
We're back.
I was gonna prepare an attack, but
I'm doing one.
I had a feeling this was what it was gonna be.
The voice you can't really place it, but the voice does seem it does seem familiar. Like there's something about it that does ring familiar in your mind.
What is me? What did I do? I didn't do anything.
So
Who are you?
suddenly, like the figure gets taller, and ends up being about man-sized. And then you see like sort of a hand kind of poke out of the mass.
What
Is
does
he
the
like
hand
pointing
do?
at me?
Yeah, you see a gray, like sort of like a gray-skinned sort of with like the hand looks really like gnarled and decrepit. Like this, it looks like flesh that's like been pulled over the bones and like just it looks very emaciated and just like it looks like it's like 100 years old. Like it looks, it doesn't look like all that fresh or nice, and it just kind of like points and like the hand kind of shakes a bit, and then you see the entire like just group of rags and twigs and leaves and everything, like the whole sort of ghillie suit cloak type of thing just kind of gets sloughed off, and standing there is a shirtless man who looks
Is he hot?
he's probably a little bit hot. He looks fairly muscular, about a middle-aged man.
Oh, pirate.
You can see like a couple of big, what look like giant wounds in his chest and his stomach. Like he'd been stabbed a couple of times, and then the wounds have like gotten kind of like blackened, and they've congealed over. There's like all kinds of just like dried blood around them that looks years old at this point. Like the blood's gone completely black, it's so old. And it sort of stares at you with eyes with that sort of almost give a like a red pinprick of light in each one. And he's just continues to point at you, Jez, and he says, "It's you. You are the ones.
You are the Cinder.
You are the ones who took everything from me. The symbol of my order. And you are the ones who freed Barovia and opened the gates for that monster to escape." And you see it sort of like reach onto its back and draw forth a rusty, dried, blood-encrusted longsword. It says, "I swore that I would not stop until I ended all of you. And now I have my chance. And it is time to roll initiative."
Do I get my short bow shot?
Sure, you can loose a short bow into him.
I was gonna talk to the guy because we didn't release it. It wasn't us.
That's true, it wasn't us.
Initiative.
All your guys' initiative will update on its own.
Oh shit!
I'll put this up here.
What is he doing on Cholt?
Oh, he's following us.
He's followed you. They have an innate ability to hunt down and like to sense and hunt down their anything that they've sworn an oath of vengeance against, as long as they're on the same plane of existence as they are. So all he had to do was walk out and like, oh, there they are. So while this is going on, Dusty, you peer around the outside, like you peer around the side of Firefinger, this strange, just vertical column of stone that you've managed to make it to. You kind of peer around the side and you notice the thing that's been chasing you for the last several days, just incessantly and without end. It seems to have gone after, some group of people instead. That it's kind of cornered. It's kind of cornered them. Give me a perception check.
Perception check.
Nice.
So something seems kind of familiar about a couple of them. You're not sure, but from where you are, you're probably about 50 feet away from this group and the strange undead creature that is now, like, you're within earshot, so you heard that this thing's like, "Oh, I've been looking for you and I want to kill you." And you're like, "Wow, this guy must really hate these people." So, I'm going to get you to roll initiative. And be up to you what you want to do. So, Azak, speaking of which, Dusty, you're going to be going first, because Azaka is not actually... Oh, we also need...
He doesn't need a turn, it's okay.
We need to add a turn for Mr. Vladimir Horngard.
No, we don't, it's okay.
They're very vampire.
He's going to get a 13. Azaka's got a 10.
Cry, I rolled a 5.
Everybody rolled real well. So,
We're
Dusty,
good at it.
you get to go first. So,
Of course.
about 50 feet away from you is this whole scene that's playing out. There's about 30 feet of space between the undead and this short woman. It's a really short woman, like almost a midget or a child, really, in stature. There's about 30 feet between him and her, and then like a few feet back of her is the rest of the group. And everyone seems to have drawn weapons. The undead has drawn weapons. The other people have drawn weapons. It looks like there's going to be a throwdown.
Considering that this thing has been chasing me around for a really long time, I'm just gonna hang back and wait a sec to see what ends up happening here.
Okay.
Because the last thing I want to deal with is that dude, that thing, whatever it is.
So Vladimir is gonna go after Jez. What do I have to roll for you, Jez? Like, what's the save DC? Is it lower than 16?
Yes. It is only like 13.
Okay, so he's gonna make 2 attacks.
How far away is Jez? Where I am?
From you guys, probably about 15. I'm gonna say about 15 feet.
Oh, okay.
It's not far.
Yeah, I was taking point, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
going too
Jez kind of stepped in front, but he didn't get very far before this thing kind of turned around.
And it made it all the way to him?
Yeah. Well, Jez got to. Well, actually, technically, Jez got to. Actually, Jez should be 30 feet from you. My mistake. Because he was 60 feet away from you guys, and Jez got halfway there when he turned around. Jez got to within 30 feet. So Jez was 30 feet from the group. So yeah, he's gonna make 2 attacks on Jez. 20 and 18 versus AC.
18's definitely gonna miss.
I'm reducing the 20.
That becomes 15. And that is not gonna hit. So Wacky just like makes a big loud noise, like, hey, hey, hey!
Screaming.
And he just kind of like, he turns and looks and misses his sword swipe. He's like, if only I had my blade.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to it.
So, Pyro.
Good question. I will. I guess I'm gonna get up in his face
Yep.
and be like, "Hi."
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna divine smite too.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Don't forget your D8 that you roll for Talon. You'll get 2 of those because you're crit.
All right.
So it's gonna be a total of
roll 1d8.
8d8.
8d8. Should I just roll?
Because you're gonna get
8d8?
3d8.
You're gonna get 3 for the Divine Smite
Times 2.
twice, so 6. So yeah, roll 8d8.
I'm cheering in the back like, fuck him up!
That's a pretty big fucking-
That's a good bit of damage. 15, 53, 63 damage. So he reels from the radiant strike you deliver upon him, and he just staggers back. As I wonder what happened to my pencil.
I knew you had it in you.
Is he still standing?
Oh yeah,
Or is he still standing?
yeah. You rock him, and then he takes a second to sort of steady himself, and yeah, he looks good to go.
I'm gonna hit him again
Okay.
and roll another divine smite. So that's 6d8 this time.
That'd
It's
be
only
4.
gonna be 4d8.
48. 4d8.
So good, 30. That's a nice even number. That's easy math. I like easy math. So yeah, you rock him again, and he staggers, and he drops to a knee, and then just kind of unnaturally bends his back, and just kind of like pops himself back up to his feet. Like you crumple him, and then he just sort of like bends like the wrong way and straightens back out. Azaka, not really knowing what to make of this, she just she pulls out her bow, strafes over a bit, puts 2 arrows into him. One's gonna miss, the other one's gonna hit for some damage. That'll take us to Jez.
I tell him it wasn't us that stopped Barovia. It was an outside force. We had no
What?
part in that.
Well,
Just so you know,
you guys kind
Well, we're
of
still-
did.
we're still gonna put you down. Try not to follow us, because it's gonna hurt you more and more each time. And then I swing.
He just shrugs at you. He's like, these bodies are rentals. Dad is obviously hit
For 21 damage.
21 reading damage. Still up.
And the second one.
You guys and your radiant.
That is also a hit.
Gonna be another 13.
So he staggers and again kind of crumples a bit and again slowly just kind of like straightens his body up unnaturally. Wacky, it is your turn.
I'm going to do this actually. Has some vicious mockery on him, seeing as I'm not going to be doing much damage anyway.
Vicious mockery.
Yeah.
Oh my, no.
What's wrong?
That was an easy save. He has many.
What's wrong with your-
He has many charisma.
Yeah.
He's charismatic for an undead man. A vengeful undead man.
I'm cheering like a proud mom in the back as Pyro and Jez are just fucking this dude up. And
Well,
I'm,
that takes us
shit-talking,
back-
essentially.
To Dusty. You're kind of watching these strangers you've come across. They seem to be, giving it good to this undead thing that was following you.
Yeah.
My light beam should be a little bit noticeable too.
I do
I don't think
a
that
Yeah.
happens every day.
Yeah, you looking at like them fight, you're like, huh, that I don't think I remember somebody that had like a weird lightsaber looking sword. Where do I know that from?
Can I do a perception check to see if any of them have noticed me?
Sure.
Cool.
You're perfect. Like you're at this point, you're not even
I did
like
not fall asleep.
yeah, you're not peering past the thing anymore. You're basically just standing beside it, like right out in the open, and you're like, there's no way they could see me.
Yeah.
Can we see him though?
Nobody's really attempted to. All of you are kind of
He's
focused.
behind us somewhere, isn't he? Like,
No, he's
He's
like-
behind.
He's
behind
kind
the
of
Behind the
sideways and behind a little bit. So he's almost perpendicular to the fight right now. But he's kind of like off to the side a little bit behind too, so he's kind of out of your peripheral vision. And it's not really, you guys would be sort of laser focused on this guy.
Yeah.
Is there anything in my immediate vicinity?
Nope.
Like within 10
Oh.
feet? No?
Oh, you mean like anything.
Yeah.
Within 10 feet of you there's a big stone wall. And
Is that-
some brush, but that's about it.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to fire a firebolt and then hide behind the thing as soon as it comes out.
Cat?
Hide behind the wall.
Cat?
So we're like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
Roll your firebolt.
I'm going to launch,
So a firebolt
and
streaks
then
out.
I immediately dip behind the wall.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Okay.
So firebolt.
Dusty, known for his old man stealth.
And his old man
Wow.
strength, apparently.
Yeah, the old man's strength kind of.
He's picked up the rogue ability to hide.
Bam.
Apparently.
So
Dusty's got a
Yeah,
good
you-
action now.
you fire it and just zoom. You just 23 skidoo like back behind the wall, and you guys see like just this firebolt just come out of nowhere from off to the side somewhere and just blast the revenant in the face. And that staggers him, and you see it just singe and cook a bunch of the flesh on its face, and just you see like one of the eyeballs kind of like bubble over and basically go useless. And
Thanks,
you're like,
random stranger, but that was really gross.
Yes, you look in the direction of where it came from, and there's nothing there. There's like not even a trace of.
I'm also looking in the wrong direction too.
I'm gonna yell like, Azaka, when'd you learn Fireball?
Yeah, right?
It came from like nowhere near Azaka. It came from like 90 degrees to like Azaka.
You've heard of
You
ventriloquist?
you look back at her and even she's confused. Like she's just like, that takes us to Vladimir. So he's gonna spread this out a little bit. He's gonna do one attack to Jez, one attack to Pyro. Attack to Pyro's at 26 versus AC. Attack to Jez at 27 versus AC.
Not helping that.
So
Taking some
oh yeah,
damage.
you guys are targets from which he has sworn vengeance. So I got a whole bunch of extra dice.
Oh boy.
Nice.
He like gets fireballs.
Essentially, well,
Oh,
kind of.
that's nice.
8, 12. So the one on Pyro, oh dear. 12, 24, 26, 31 points to Pyro. And the one to Jez, 11, 13, 14, 21 to Jez.
Jeez.
And
You
Pyro,
see
yes,
that
you can take
22.
3 off that.
Oh, right, yeah.
You take 3 off.
Because, like, half of it, yeah. Oh, no, it's all bludgeoning damage, so yeah.
What is it,
could
magical
grab-
bludgeoning?
No, it's just if the target takes an extra bludgeoning damage. I guess he just hits harder. He's just driven by anger to just hit you even harder.
So I was at 1,
make
but
this a
because
repeat of the
minus
T-Rex.
3, I'm at 4.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Oh,
That's
that
all.
my
22,
God.
that put me at 1.
Oh,
So he rocked. Like,
on the bright
it's
side, I haven't used my time stopper.
like you guys are just throwing haymakers. Like you guys knocked the crap out of him. He staggered around. He came back and swung on both of you and sent you guys staggering. Like this is just an all haymaker fight. This is a heavyweight fight.
Pretty sure this next round, us or him is
So-
going down.
Pyro,
Well,
you have a revenant standing in front of you. He looks pretty rough, and for some reason, like half his face is burnt now, which you can't really explain. He's got all these searing cuts, like charred into him from Jez's radiant blade, and from your radiant divine smites. He's looking pretty rough, but he looks no less determined to destroy you.
I will. Well, I'm just gonna Divine Smite him again. With my last Divine Smite. Because healing myself will get me nothing if he hits me again. So I'll
That's the
drop anyways.
spirit.
I really think I need to get Hex so I actually use my spell slots.
So
Probably not a bad idea.
Swang away.
blank.
17 will hit.
And
Nice.
then I will use the Divine Smite.
Okay, so
Now.
roll 48.
Oh. Oops. That's 2. I'll just roll another 2.
You just hit that button again.
You could just hit that button again. So 14, 21. So you crack into it and unleash a torrent of radiant energy. And it just sort of envelops the Revenant, and you see the sort of the red pinpricks of light in its eyes just sort of fade. And it starts to sort of mutter, like under its breath, and tries to choke out some kind of last words to you.
I'm
But
gonna
it-
hit it again before I can finish that.
Okay,
I want to
Hit
hear
it.
the words.
hit it again.
Is he gonna double vengeance us?
That's
So that way he does
Let's not find
60
out.
or 8d6 next time instead of
Let's not
46.
find out.
I don't.
It's like-
I rolled 11.
Oh,
That's
I'll give you advantage because he's kind of half incapacitated at this point. So 18 is a hit, and yeah, he starts to like rasp out some kind of vengeful last words, and then you just kind of hit him again, and then it just turns into like a wet gargle, and then he collapses into a heap on the ground.
I'm like, no, shut up! You shut up right now.
So
well, he's dead. I'll say you should probably swear vengeance to Acerak. He did it, not us.
I'm gonna run up to the both of you and I'm gonna cast healing. First for Pyro, second for Jez.
yep. So combat is suspended. Goodbye, Vladimir. I'm gonna just the window. Oh no, I can see it
I
poking
think-
out. I just gotta.
I
there
think
we go.
need to sleep, guys.
I will touch Jez for 5 and myself for 5 because I only have 10 left.
Okay. So combat is over. You find that the thing that this thing was carrying around and sloughing around in is very ghillie suit like. Seems to be just like a big cloth tarp that it, just full of brush. Some of it you see some of it was like carefully kind of poked in and not stitched in, but assembled into the weavings of this, like, sort of, it's like a hemp sack almost. It's like not fine linen, but like in the weavings of it, you can see a bunch of stuff has been stuffed into it, and a lot of it has probably also just been picked up by being dragged through the jungle.
Do we want to grab that?
I mean,
It wouldn't be hard for you to make your own.
does it look like it would be useful for, like, hiding in this jungle?
It does, but it also looks like it would be extremely exhausting to, like, go around in.
Yeah.
If you had,
Alright.
if you were the type of thing that was just completely unexhaustible, like this would be a great thing to kind of hide yourself.
Mhm.
But, you know, knowing revenants like you do, you know that like he has no need of rest, and that he can't really tire himself out, and is not going to get thirsty, he's not going to get hungry. So he can just cover himself in this thing and bake himself, basically, as he runs through.
I want to know, would I know how far away he'll come back? Because I think we know that he's going to come back in the day.
Give me a religion check.
Can I give one of those too?
Sure.
Ian. Crit.
Hey.
Oh, negative.
Pyro knows all about revenants. Just knows, like, that was like his favorite undead to study back in Paladin
You're
school.
only telling us this now?
So yeah, you know that with after 24 hours, his soul will inhabit and animate another corpse somewhere on the same plane of existence.
Where is the furthest he could possibly be?
Whatever the other side of this world is.
There's also
hope
a
he
lot
spawns
of
there.
bodies in the jungle.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of bodies
yeah,
here.
yeah, Pyro, you know there's not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason to sort of like where they come up. You think that it could be, it's more than likely to be something closer than super far away, but
You said there was no rhyme or reason. That sounds like rhyme and reason to me.
well, it's one of those things that's not really explained. Like, your order knows that, like, revenants do this, and they go into a new body, but how the body is chosen or why a specific body is taken, they do know that it's typically ones that are similar to, like, what the soul had in life. So similar stature, similar build, and stuff like that. So he's not just gonna all of a sudden pop into, like, a 90-year-old woman that's, like, dead on the ground. And just come, like, limping. It's like, I'm gonna get you, Sonny. Vengeance.
You know what that means? We have to surround ourselves by dead 90-year-old women now.
No, you just need to, every time
Yeah,
you
but
come across a male body that's, like, pretty well built and muscly and looks like it's good in a fight, you need to just burn it. Just in case. But only for 24 hours. After 24 hours, he's already spawned somewhere.
How about we bury it?
Well, you know he won't come back
That
into
makes
the
sense,
same
yeah.
body.
No, I don't mean this body. I meant bury the body that's
Oh.
an old man that's roughly muscular.
Well,
What if we find the body that he spawned into, and then trap it?
well, like, as soon as he spawns in, he's up and running around.
Yeah. He'll be
Yeah,
coming
so-
towards us again.
Once
So,
he comes to us again,
more
why don't we
likely-
just trap him?
More likely, when he comes to us, we trap him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we need a plan.
At this point, I'd like to see if I could track where the firebolt came from.
Okay, give me a perception check. Oh, you know what?
Aw, cry.
I should have actually said investigation. Damn it, never get to use investigation. You're fairly certain it came sort of from to your right and kind of back a little bit. You believe it came from the corner of the tower. Like, sort of that area. You know, there is some low bushes and stuff like that. So it could have come from the bushes there. It could have come from around the side of the tower. You're not sure. You're not sure exactly, but somewhere in that area.
I will mention that, like,
We should
that
probably-
firebolt could have been aimed at us. Maybe the person who shot it was a really bad shot, and they hit the Vladimir by mistake.
Well, we should probably check it out either way. There's someone out here.
Maybe the Arakoka came in through a firebolt.
Yeah, but then why would he hide?
He just
We
flew
looked
away.
over,
He
there
was
wasn't
just like,
anyone there.
passing by and like a random fireball.
Well, it also seemed to have come from the ground. Like, it didn't come from like the air.
He could
I'm
have been
gonna-
walking.
I'm gonna go over to where I believe it came from.
I'll follow her.
Start investigating there.
So as this is happening, Dusty, what do you do? As this thing collapses dead to the ground and its opponents seem to take a minute, you see a couple of them start to sort of break off in your direction. Like, you see, like, this one, like, the taller man in the group kind of points towards, like, your direction, and then him and the shorter man start kind of walking towards you.
Gonna do another perception check to see if they seem aggressive.
They don't seem terribly aggressive. Like, they do seem like they're quite capable in a fight.
Evidently.
They probably
Okay.
still have weapons drawn at this point, but not, like, it looks almost more cautious than anything else. They
Yeah.
also do look strikingly familiar.
Do you have proficiency in insight? Because that probably would have been more of an insight thing.
I doubt his insight's any higher than his perception.
Yeah, they're the same.
But
Okay.
yeah, like you're fairly certain you know these people.
I'm just going to hunker down in an area that sort of looks like hidden. I'm gonna try and like blend in a little bit.
I don't
That
think
worked for
you
my
can.
druid.
It's a flat wall.
Yeah, so
While they're walking over, I'm gonna look around for any sort of like bushes or something.
so there definitely is some bushes, but you're afraid that you're going to have to make yourself you have to basically go out into their line of sight to get to the bushes.
Is there nothing behind me?
You could continue along. You're essentially, the tower is a 50-foot by 50-foot square,
Okay.
and that seems to go as high, like just straight up as high as you can see.
Okay.
And so you could continue to shuffle along the wall and go around like the other side of it, like go around the next corner.
Okay. But there's no other like.
Once you get around the next face, then you might be able, then you could like make your way to some bushes, because then you would essentially be on the opposite side of the tower of where the fight happened.
Right.
And you'd have a bit more time to sort of take off like into the bushes and into like the jungle underbrush.
Okay.
I keep looking at this screen, and there's no reason for me to. I'm just, like, I've created a habit of always looking at my right monitor when we friggin' play, because that's where my stuff has been for the last, like, 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my left monitor right now because that's where you guys are.
Like, all you guys, like, the cams and Roll20 are all here now. That's why I left my cam here. But I'm still looking over here. I'm, like, looking at, like, the chat and TeamSpeak and OBS. For, like, and OBS is, like, this big. So, like, I don't know why. I have no idea why I'm looking over
I'm
there.
gonna try and make my way along the wall.
Okay. Yeah. So, you shuffle along the wall. You go flat against it and start, like, just shuffling along. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to give you the 12, because I also neglected to inform you. Like, you have been pursued relentlessly by this thing for the last few days.
Yeah.
It's kept you from being able to sort of rest as well as you would like to, and it's also kept you from being able to sort of restock your supplies. So you haven't really been able to like stock up on water. So you have the first level of exhaustion right now.
Okay.
So that means all of your ability checks come at disadvantage. But I'll give you the 12 because I forgot to tell you that at the start before you started making checks. So yeah, you shuffle along. Wacky, Pyro, what are your passive perceptions?
13.
How do I check that?
That'd be on your.
What's your modifier?
Yeah, what's your whiz mod?
12.
Okay,
Do you have proficiency?
Yes.
Actually, I could just highlight over his last perception check.
There you go.
It's probably going to be
It's a plus 4 to
plus
perception.
5
Mm-hmm.
or 4.
So either way, so you guys hear like some
Yeah,
rustling
14.
as you guys kind of like round the corner of the building. you hear rustling and cracking and like stuff like moving around, like something's walking around. Like you definitely hear what sounds to be some kind of creature. And by the time you get to the corner and like poke your heads around to see what it is, it doesn't seem to be there anymore. But you definitely heard it. You definitely heard it moving along the wall.
I'm gonna look at Karen. I'm gonna be like,
What do you want me to say? Are you going after this thing? What do you want?
do we follow it? Whatever it was.
I don't know. Whatever's out here, it's shooting fire bolts, so it's not like it can't be like fucking. Who knows? Maybe it's one of the Baldur's Gate people. They
At
have
least it's
agent
not a
patrols, I
zombie
don't know.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, we turn the corner, we see a Tyrannosaurus
Listen,
Rex.
It's just coughing up
we're
fire.
properly documented, and we can explore in this area.
So
It is true.
I want to like lay. I got around the corner.
Yep.
I want to like lay on the ground and sort of like try and peek my head around the corner to see what they're doing.
I'm gonna walk towards the corner.
I'm gonna follow.
Well, you guys are at like the opposite corner right now. Dado, give me a stealth check as you try to like poke your head
doing that
out.
as you guys are like talking and stuff.
Okay. What did we say Pyro's passive perception was? 14 or 15?
14.
14.
14?
Well,
So you kind of
disadvantage.
So yeah, you see the same two people seem to be standing at the corner talking, looking kind of confused, and like they seem to be arguing back and forth like what to do. And you kind of stick your head out and poke your head back around. Wacky and Pyro, you guys both get a glimpse of what looked like something along the ground that kind of moved out into the open and then darted back behind cover. But it was real low. It was like right on the ground. Like it could have been another one of those rabbits that Pyro likes to eat.
I'm
No.
right there. And
No.
I'm gonna chase. I'm just gonna bolt.
No! Alright, then I guess I'm going
So
after him.
as you dart your head back, you see the shorter of the two men kind of start barreling towards you, Dusty.
Do
I'm
I
just
see
screaming
any?
after
Do I
him.
see any?
Giant smile
Do
on
I
my
see any
face.
bushes?
Like,
Do I see any bushes?
You see some bushes. They're probably about 30, 40 feet from you.
Or like a tree or something like that.
They're definitely like there's some low bushes. The trees don't start for probably close to 100 feet out from the tower. Like there seems to be a bit of area cleared.
What's the closest thing to me that could be used for cover?
There's some sort of like waist high, like brush, like
Okay.
thick bushes and like tall brush that you
Alright,
can
what do
kind of
want?
duck into.
I want to run to them.
Okay. You kind of dive in. Give me a stealth check.
Jesus Christ.
As
I wanna.
Come
Well,
on,
they're
it's
chasing
just-
after
Stop
this
using-
thing.
I keep getting such good stealth rolls and then the fucking disadvantage.
well, you should have been chased by a revenant for like 4 days. Jeez, Dusty. So, Pyro, you make it around the corner,
Sliding.
and you
I'm gonna
see.
slide across the corner, just like. Coming
Well,
like, oh.
it is still like jungle floor, so it's gonna be a little tough to slide. But
Yeah,
you make it around the corner, and you see like some of the tall grass and the brushes in front of you, kind of like wiggling around. Then you remember Azaka telling you like how hard it is to like catch one of these
You're not gonna
buggers.
catch it.
I'm just gonna
Not without me.
dive. I'm just gonna launch myself and dive to try and
So,
get on top of it.
This person's still chasing you, Dusty.
I'm still following him.
I don't see them. Well, am I in the bush and I'm seeing him jump at me right now? Is that
Yeah,
what I'm
he's
seeing?
starting to like he seems to like have figured out where you're hiding.
Okay.
You know, to your amazement, you're like, how does he know I'm here? How did he see through these bushes?
I'm going to, as a reaction, cast a shield on myself,
Okay.
and just kind of like, and like as I see him jumping,
So
I'm gonna cast shield while I'm also screaming at the same time.
Pyro, give me basically an attack roll. Give me a strength check with proficiency. So it'd basically be an attack roll.
Like you're grappling.
Yeah, it's basically it's
I
going to
wish I
be a
had some
grapple
sort of,
roll.
like reflective barrier that like I could pop up
Oh.
and they would like bounce like a clear wall or something like that.
Well, shield kind of
That-
does that. It's going to give you a big boost to your AC.
Yeah. No, I'm
Does
talking
that-
literally like creating a wall in front of me, like a big ass glass panel that he
You
just
have,
face plants into.
You have Leoman's tiny hut, right? Is it possible
Yeah,
to
but
cast
that's
that?
not that. That's not the
So
same.
just unskilled strength.
Well, it'd be with your. You'll get your proficiency. Do that, and then we'll add. What's your guys' prof? It's 3, right?
3.
So just
we do,
roll
like,
that, and then we'll add 3.
Also, it's
So-
a casting time of 1 minute, so.
So you dive after this rabbit, and as you just dive into the brush, you just go face first into what feels like just like a solid window, and you just kind of crumple on the ground, and you can kind of see out of the corner of your eye that like as your face is kind of smushed up against this thing, that there seems to be this like glittery blue, like almost magical shield that it's kind of just popped out of nowhere, and you've just gone head first into it.
Do I see this?
And
'Cause
you're
I'm
just kind of like
grappling.
lying down in front, and you
Totally.
see some kind of huddled figure behind it, and it seems to be screaming.
I'm gonna hold my nose, and do I recognize the screaming?
The screaming does seem familiar.
Hang on. Let me see.
It could be
Also,
Godfrey.
Real quick as well. Am I seeing all this?
Were you trying to mask your screaming?
I was seeing like what kind of scream it was, and if it was like a
Very
20,
girlish.
I was gonna say like it would be you wouldn't be able to tell like what it is.
So you hear this sort of, it's like very hoarse, but at the same time it's also like almost like a very terrified girlish scream that does seem awfully familiar.
I'm gonna like hold my nose. I'm gonna I'm gonna look at it.
I just healed you.
I think it hurt.
I'm
It-
so sorry.
It hurt, but not enough to like do damage. It stings a bit.
I'm gonna like
I'm
sit
so
up.
sorry.
I'm
We don't
holding
mean any
my
harm to
nose.
you.
I'm gonna like. Wait a second.
And after all the after I hear like the
After you see the thing just kind of
face
stop in
on-
midair from your
yeah,
shield.
After I see him fall down, I kind of like stand up, I look over, like look back, and like I know you from somewhere.
Fucking
Ah, shit.
Dusty.
Oh my god! How
Poor
long
you.
has it been? I'm
Poor
sorry.
you,
Oh
what am
my
I
god!
stupid?
That wall. I'm sorry. You scared me. I didn't know. Over my vision's going. It's been
It's
I don't
okay.
know how long. I
I thought
lost
you were
my.
a rabbit. It's okay.
You thought I was a what?
An mirage.
I'm just
Delicious.
what?
I'm just standing with like my mouth open. I'm like, what the fuck?
They
A
are so
mirage?
delicious. I have some
What are you
for.
doing in
They're like-
Schultz?
I'd have to ask you what you're doing here as well.
Because we were sent here. Where did you go?
When?
Last we saw of you,
Yeah, so Dusty, yeah, you've been here for a few months. The last thing you remember, as we discussed earlier, was getting kind of dumped off into some strange ruined city. Yeah, you've been around for a while, and you at this point would recognize these as your companions. The last memory you do have is you and your companions coming face to face with this Acerarak character.
Michael Sarah.
Yeah, you named Michael Sarah, and you coming face to face with him, and then everything just kind of goes hazy, and then it comes back to you being in some strange ruined city. But you do know, like, that this is Chult because you recognize the area. But yeah, as far as you could tell, like, the only reason your companions would be here was like they must have like come after you, or they must have come to find you. Like, clearly, why else would they be here in Chult if not
Yeah.
to find you?
We thought you were dead
about that.
or good as.
Why? Because I'm old.
Don't
That was
shush.
a reason. Yeah. That was a factor.
Or
That's fair. Okay? Yeah.
I mean, we all got
That makes
sucked into
sense.
a tomb, and then
And then you weren't there. We were just like, what
Yeah.
the?
Yeah, I just kind of got dropped off in these jungles, and then
how
ruins.
long have you been
and
here?
I 4 days. I don't. Maybe a year. Somewhere between.
Oh my
there.
god, how
About-
are you alive?
I don't know how long it's been.
At least
Wait.
we know we
It's
can make our
been some
survival
amount of
checks.
time.
We have like backpacks of just like supplies and shit. Dusty's just walking around. He's doing
If you've
fine.
been in here a year, they send you back in time.
We got here.
I
like,
don't know how long it's been.
As best, your best guess is it's probably been a couple months, few months, somewhere in there. The exact amount of time, you're not sure, because you probably haven't been really keeping that good a track of it. You're probably more focused on, hey, I need to eat and drink water and not die in these strange jungles I find myself in.
Yeah.
But
I got stuck in this this city, and I had like a bunch of weird like lizard snake people in there.
City?
But you know, I was able to get out pretty easy because I'm old. I look like one of them, so I was just kind of able to like get out of there with no problem.
Psoriasis.
And I've just been wandering. I don't even know. I was just going to places.
Do you remember when that guy in white like sucked us all into a portal and then you stayed? That portal took us to a tomb where we found out that that dude is the reason why we were in Barovia. He was sucking all the souls, and to make this machine.
I
that
remember Barovia, and then I remember I was hanging on to a thing, and then you all fell to something else. And
yeah,
then
you remember they were all really weak because you were the only one
Yeah.
strong enough to hang on.
Yeah. You know, I still got some of this right here.
It's just like sagging down at this point.
I feel like most of us at the time were getting ready to attack, so the only one that was ready to grab onto something was probably him.
And
But
you all
yeah.
got sucked into something, and then I was there, and then it's just nothing. And then I
Yeah.
woke up with the lizard people.
we found out that guy is a big asshole, and
Boom.
We
it's-
have a camp. Maybe we should talk about this back there so we could all get some rest.
Yeah.
Talk on the
Ooh.
way.
I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask.
meet Azaka.
I'm gonna ask Dusty. I'm like, by the way, Dusty, did you happen to see like a rabbit anywhere? Like a really
Like so-
big rabbit.
Oh,
with,
no,
like,
maybe,
a
no,
unicorn
ignore him.
maybe
horn.
a few days ago.
Yeah,
Not
so
here.
by the description, Dusty, you've probably seen these things before. There's quite a few things. There's a lot of things you've seen in your travels over the last few months, but you wouldn't know the proper names of any of them, or even if you did, you would just make up your own goddamn names for them anyways. But yeah, you believe he's talking about these rabbits, these they're like 2 or 3 feet tall, standing up with a big unicorn horn like sticking out of their heads. And you've probably seen them from time to time. Maybe you even got lucky enough to catch one and eat one, if you were so inclined. But
Were you so inclined, Edo?
I was not inclined to do nothing. I'm old.
You're hungry, I'm sure. Anyways,
We could find food. Let's get back to the camp and
like, I'm
we'll
sure
catch
there
up
was
there.
one here somewhere.
What am I
Pause
wearing
it.
right now, by the way?
so you're in sort of these just rags, like they're it's sort of half your old wizard robes, like most of it's kind of like worn away, and you've kind of retrofit chunks of like other pieces of clothing into it, and sort of just made yourself this hodgepodge of clothing. You also have a backpack and some supplies. Some of it in better repair than others. You just managed to like scavenge together stuff you found, especially off bodies. You found like groups of other adventurers that have been killed, and you just kind of like managed to scavenge bits and pieces. For all intents and purposes, you essentially have all the same things that the rest of the party has. So you have a backpack. You weren't here when we ended up sorting this out, but essentially what I'm calling it is that everybody has a backpack that they can store their stuff in that can hold 50 pounds worth of essentially gear for the expedition. To not keep track of this stuff as part of your normal weight, because that would get really annoying. So you've managed to find one of these explorer backpacks. You managed to find a rain catcher that you've been using to sort of supplement yourself with water, as well as from like various streams and lakes and rivers and stuff like that. But like eventually finding like a broken old rain catcher you managed to slowly put back together. You did, man. I'm gonna say, yeah, you got the rain catcher. You have 3 gallons worth of water jugs. All of your jugs right now are empty because you went through all your water getting chased by the Revenant. The way it works in Chult is you need to drink 2 gallons of water a day. If you do not get the 2 gallons, because it's so hot and humid in that, and you're trekking through the jungle, you have to do a constitution check at the end of the day, and if you fail that, you get 1 level of exhaustion. So that's essentially what's happened to you over the course of the last few days. You ran out of water, did a bunch of checks. For each day you didn't have water, and eventually just knocked yourself down a point of exhaustion. And I'm going to say that you also have 5 days worth of food. Of, like, rations and bits of, like, fruit and berries and bark and whatever the hell else you've been eating for the last, like, few months.
Bugs.
But yeah, so you notice that, like, once Dusty kind of, like, gets himself kind of brushed off and that, he goes and retrieves a backpack from, like, the bushes, similar to your guys's, but it looks like it's in a bit worse repair. Like, it's got some holes in it that have been kind of patched up, and it looks very weathered and well used, but Dusty himself looks also very weathered and well used.
We all had our water this morning, like all 3 gallons. So I'll give a gallon to him.
And seeing him, like, wearing these shitty robes, I'm like, I have something that belongs to you, actually. I'm gonna hand over the Thayan wizard robes.
Okay.
Oh.
So she hands you they are pristine. She hands you a set of robes they're like a deep crimson color, and they're just absolutely pristine. They're the cleanest thing that you've seen in as far as you can remember.
On the plus side, there's no one around here to rescue.
Yep.
I seem to remember this color not being not being good.
Well, we're in the jungles now. Just don't wear it in the city. Till you get something
You
better
can
for
put your shit back on when you're in the city.
Okay.
We might find something better.
You know more than I do right now, probably. So I will do that.
So Dusty disguises himself as a Thayan wizard, a much longer-haired Thayan wizard. You know, Dusty, especially being a wizard himself, knows that most Thayans are bald, so maybe you'll get away with it. They'll see all your hair that's like unkempt and long at this point, full of like twigs and leaves. So now you're filthy, unkempt, and you got this ratty old backpack and these just perfect, immaculate wizard robes on.
We might need to get you a bath.
Then we camp out near the river. Good.
Okay. You just tell me. I don't. Just tell me where to go. At this point.
We'll introduce him to Azaka properly now. Like, this is Dusty. He is very dusty at the moment.
And bloody.
She kind of eyes all of you suspiciously. She's like, you're just gonna bring along some random vagrant
There's
you
a
found
lot
in the woods?
There's a lot that we haven't told you.
I had tried to introduce him, but I guess that got lost in the shuffle.
Dusty, by the way, he's badass.
This is actually someone.
Yeah, so they introduce you to this. She's about 6 feet tall, kind of svelte, but very like fit as well. Like, so she's not terribly muscular, but like just trim and cut.
The word you're looking for is lithe.
That's what I'm looking for. She's very lithe. She's very dark skinned, so you recognize her as a native Chultan. And she also has like a backpack and stuff like that. And you see that she's got a big machete at her side and a long bow and quiver strapped to her back. She seems to be some kind of associate of your friends.
We tell Dusty that she's our guide, she's an utter badass, and she has helped us survive this jungle so far.
That's okay. Good.
I mean,
Yes.
Dusty could help you
So-
guys survive the jungle. He survived pretty
Yeah.
good on his
I
own
mean-
for the last few months.
Yeah, we could point you to the direction that you need to go to get out of here. But I don't know if you want to come with us, but we're going to...
Wait. You mentioned a city? We're looking
Maybe.
for a ruined city.
Me?
Oh, maybe that's...
Talking me?
Yes, you.
Yeah.
With like lizard people and snakes, snake people. One or the other.
Well,
Did
someone in
Omaha
town
have the
said that
snake
we're
people,
looking...
or did somewhere else have the snake people?
Someone in town said that there's a gorge with snake people. But that might also mean the city was in a gorge. Was your city in a
So-
gorge?
It was in like some sort of valley,
That's kind of gorge.
Yeah, so you remember...
gorge
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, you remember the city that you woke up in was quite massive, full of statuaries, full of like large ruined buildings. It is a very full-sized city that you remember waking up in, all nestled in like this sort of like gorge or valley, and it had. Like the valley itself seemed to have like a big waterfall that like ran into it, and then like a river that seemed to bisect the whole city. A lot of which you don't. It didn't seem like a real natural feature of like that the city was built into. It looks like the river may have been just over time diverted. Maybe that's part of the reason it was in the shape that it was.
Can we show him our map to see if it matches any of the rivers? Then again, that was 4 months ago. He probably doesn't remember.
So, yeah, you guys grill Dusty for a few minutes, and he's able to remember a few of the things he's seen over the past 3-4 months he's been here. He tells you that he remembers a wrecked ship, like a big huge ship that was like kind of shattered to pieces, like way up in the jungle canopy. Like he remembers like passing by that. Like not just like a small boat, like something
We heard about
maybe
that,
twice
too.
the size of the like your guys' airship that you came here on, like twice that size or bigger, just like a big
I
wreck.
heard about an airship as well that was downed.
So he's seen that. He tells you he saw a floating stone heart near a gigantic, massive marshland. It basically looked like a human heart, except made out of stone, and it was just like floating like way up in the air. And that was, let's see. As he's sort of describing these things, Azaka is kind of like listening, and if she recognizes anything, she kind of points it out on your map. So she tells you that basically directly south of Camp Vengeance is a massive marshland. I don't think you guys can see my arrow.
No.
Once it goes in the black, can you? That's really annoying.
No, we can see it. We can see it all the way.
Oh, okay. So yeah, she points out on your map like this. There's like all in this area is a massive marshland that sounds like possibly where this heart thing is. She also tells you that she's heard rumors of something called the Heart of Ubtao. Ubtao being the big god who was really important to Chult.
And abandoned.
The other rumor she heard was that the Heart of Ubtao was now home to a elven wizard, a female elven wizard who has just sort of like taken up residence there. Dado's also able to tell you that he found a massive ruined set of gardens, like a big Babylonian gardens type thing, all like in ruins. Well, everything's gonna be in ruins. It's fucking Chult. He tells you that he saw some kind of monastery hundreds of feet up a cliff, and there's all these like big creepy birdmen that seem to live there. Because when he saw all these big creepy birdmen kind of coming and going from it, but it was like hundreds of feet in the air, and he looked at all the stairs and was like, "No, that ain't happening."
Well, that sounds like a place that we already know about. There's a birdman that we saved inside that tower, actually.
And
Was it like a skin like Birdman, or was it a bird?
Oh no, he kind of describes them as like just like the bird people. Like they look like an eagle
These are
man.
dinosaur people. We just killed dinosaur people, not bird people.
The way he describes it sounds a lot like the Aarakocra
Yeah.
that you met. And another thing that's not on your map, but is on mine. See, rather than have an extra window open, I just got smart and stuck the friggin' DM map of Chult on my tablet. He also tells you that not too far from here, the last thing he remembers running into, shortly before he started getting chased by that revenant, was a small lake with a stone, quote, frog thing at it, like a giant stone frog thing looking idol at its center, like in the center of the lake. And then all around the outside of the lake, it was surrounded by some kind of hedge maze.
Okay.
And he kind of points vaguely to the south.
So
And
like,
he's like, it's like that way.
here.
Where
Oh,
you
I'm
guys-
drawing. I didn't mean to draw. I meant to point.
So,
I meant to do
yeah.
this.
He kind of points like over like here somewhere is where he saw that. And he basically tells you is like that's where he was, and he was kind of checking it out, and then the revenant came after him, and he basically just kind of took off.
You wouldn't happen to know which direction the city was in, would you?
No, he
That's where he started 4 months ago.
yeah he
No.
yeah you don't really know where it is, and like looking at this map, you're like this map must be wrong. This isn't what like any of this stuff looks like in my head. Like
Yeah.
like looking at like an actual official map of the place now, you're like, this doesn't seem right. Like this should be way over here, and that should be way over here. You're
And this
convinced
is
that
all
you're convinced that your mind is far more correct than any map could
Can
possibly
I
be.
take
Map
the
is
map
all
and like
upside down.
spin it for him and be like, does this make more sense?
No, 'cause you probably have to like turn it inside out and like cut a chunk of it out and put it like over here. But
So
you do know that like you have traveled like long and far since leaving that city. But for all you know, you may have the city could be 50 miles away, and you've just done a big circle. Like
Yeah.
you have no way of knowing exactly where
It's
you've been
literally-
traveling.
it's literally Mesro.
I'm gonna suggest that we get back to our camp and then just call it a day. Even though it's the very beginning of the day, we'll just take this day to rest up.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to waste a day
So
to rest up because we're fighting throughout the night, and we'll lose
Yeah,
a lot of
so you
light
got- yeah.
traveling.
that's fine. Yeah, you guys kind of catch Dusty up with what's been happening. You kind of get him. Basically, you spend a good chunk of time between like him and Azaka trying to sort of piece together where some of these things are, and those are, Azaka's not really sure of any of the other things that he's mentioned. She does confirm that she also thinks that Cursabal is probably the monastery that he was talking about, but she doesn't know
Oh, I
anything
didn't know it was
about.
a monastery.
Hmm?
I didn't know it was a monastery. I just remember him saying that that's where his friend or his.
Well, no,
tribe is.
it looked to him like some kind of monastery-looking thing.
Okay.
Because,
We had a companion that would have loved to see a monastery.
so as you guys
No idea
sit
what
around
it
your
is.
camp and catch
Yeah,
up,
2 of our guys are gone.
uh,
I
Oh,
figured
well,
Dusty
yeah.
didn't notice.
yeah, Dusty, you do notice that the group is a lot like it seems a little lighter than you
Well,
remember.
I figured, it's only a couple of you guys chased after me, so I figured that maybe some people were back at camp. And so I was gonna bring it up later, but
Oh, okay.
So we're back at camp now.
Yeah, so you guys spend the day at camp. You can sort of discuss things as you please.
Yeah.
The rain
Assuming it's a
begins
long
again.
rest, we can
As-
refill all our crap.
As the evening, like as the day and the evening drag on, a decent rainfall begins. You guys can set out your rain catchers to fill up all your water without problem, and the rain continues all sort of throughout the evening. So you guys will be able to drink up and
Okay.
fill yourselves up to full water before you leave.
We gotta go hunting.
Yeah, so I want everybody to give me survival checks, including you, Dusty. As you essentially scavenge for food
Well, shit.
and try to
We're
find
not
you
finding no Almirage tonight.
Sweet.
Neither
I
of
thought
you.
Dusty rolled that for a second,
I
but
thought I rolled a 0 too. I was like, really? I don't even have a negative wisdom modifier.
Me neither. I have a 1 on it.
so
Nope, I'm the
Wait.
best. I'm the best.
so Dusty,
Just see him trying to climb.
Charon,
I'm supposed to be
and
better.
Azaka, the three of them managed to bring back enough food for everybody to eat for the evening. You know, Dusty doing a good job of like pulling his part and finding.
No, I'm used to it.
Yeah, yeah. You guys are all probably maybe a little taken aback at how well Dusty's managed to kind of scavenge for food and for stuff. It's like, holy shit! Look at this fucking wilderness man.
Bear Grylls.
Very much so.
We don't want to hear about you drinking your own piss, though.
Yeah, was it improvise, adapt, overcome? It's Dusty's new motto.
So,
I
So-
imagine throughout the day, we probably bring up at some point that we were in a dinosaur race.
And
That was pretty
you
exciting.
won.
I won.
Oh yeah, Vidania's in jail now. We don't know where Marissa went. She's just kind of gone.
You think she? Yeah, Marissa didn't really seem all that keen on the expedition into the jungle, so you think that maybe she just turned tail and ran back to like the mainland.
Like, we woke
Hopped
up
a
one
ship
day-
like when you guys turned your back for 5 minutes and just got back on a ship back to.
We woke up one day to mind our own, start dealing with business and whatever. We went about our business, and then when we realized, like, hey, Marissa's gone, and we couldn't find her.
We
I
left
think she's afraid
Vidania
of
in
trees.
jail.
Well, you didn't really have any choice. She was going to be in there for a while. She's going to be in there
Oh,
for like a
we're not
couple of
gonna go
months.
pick up, but we're not gonna go pick her up, is what I'm saying. But anyway,
It turns out, like, that chick was weird. We let her get away with way too much weird stuff. Like
you really did.
that stuff ain't cool.
I mean, she's good at shooting things sometimes.
Sometimes.
Did it outweigh her weird tendencies?
You can tell Dusty that you stole all her stuff before leaving her in jail.
Yeah, I said I got the mask. Yeah.
We got your stuff too.
You had to. They also fill you in that like all of your belongings you were carrying around were like they managed to make the trip, and you sort of vaguely remember like losing your bag when like everyone got sucked into the portal. You remember it kind of slipping off your shoulder and disappearing with all your friends. So you're like, oh, that's where all my stuff went.
Well, we kept all the important stuff anyway.
I guess we're giving him back his things.
If he wants them.
Uh,
It was stuff like the scales of resurrection. I'm gonna hang on to the sending stone. That is.
Yeah,
Yeah, the sending stones.
Because that's what we need to give, what's his name? A surprise. The
Oh.
dwarf.
We should note that right now, this machine that Acerak, the dude in white that sucked us into a portal, turned on, or whatever you want to call it, it makes it so that if you die, you can't be resurrected. So I don't know how useful these scales are.
Yeah, you guys have never actually attempted to try them out.
Yeah.
Well,
Not that we
thankfully
can
none of us
now.
are dead.
Yeah.
oh, that's good.
I mean, we could try it on a dead body, like a random dead body, but
Let's not find out if these things are one-time use.
Yeah. I mean,
And they're not gonna
did
work
Dusty
anyway.
identify them before? And
He
that's how we
did.
found out?
He knows that they are able to bring back someone from the dead.
Like, doesn't
But
matter
he was
who-
also he also figured that there was some kind of trick to them, that some kind of price had to be paid in exchange for the resurrection. But he was never able at the time to ascertain what that price was.
There could be like soul to soul, soul for soul. Yeah, so I don't
Or it
think
could be give
try.
me a small bunny, and then I will. And it devours the small bunny and brings the person back to life.
Not worth
Oh.
as long as it's a small bunny and not a big bunny.
Why? 'Cause that's all a bunch of wasted bunny to eat.
Yeah. If it's a big bunny with a horn, I'm not wasting that. I'm eating that.
So, do we know that we're supposed to find the lost city of Omu? I don't remember if that was.
Yes, we know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that we know
But
that's
it's been
where
so
the
long. I
soulmonger
want
is.
to go look through my notes again. So that's where we're headed. Obviously, it's gonna take a while, but
Yeah,
You,
we're on
you-
a
you know the
We're
thing
trying
that's
to-
yeah, the thing that you like the sort of the key piece that you're missing is finding somebody that can tell you where it is or take you there.
And we know that the Okokra, Nevern, he said to come to Curse of All, and maybe the elder over there could tell us where it is. And she might also be able to perform the dance of the somethings.
Dance of the
Yeah.
Sacred Winds, I believe.
Why do you want to go back there?
Go back, we've never been.
because we gotta get rid of the soulmonger. People all over the world are dying.
Redying, even.
Anyone
Uh-huh.
who's been brought back from the dead is dying. Basically every adventurer.
Also, because the guy that told us to go to other places told us to go there too.
Oh yeah, Captain Belgard wants us to do it too.
You're
I'm
still
sure you-
talking to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
for
we
like
are.
a month.
Oh no, it was several months or like a few months had passed. Like when you guys got back there. Like you guys
Oh, I
skipped
know,
ahead
I
a
know,
few
so-
months. And for some reason, from what you're able to piece together from Dusty's story, it seems that he was not given the same kind of time skip that you guys were. So where you guys kind of lost a few months and then kind of reemerged in the abandoned tomb, Dusty popped out shortly after you last saw him and has been, living it up in the jungle for those few months.
So basically, he's 4 months older than we
Younger.
expected.
Yeah, it's probably more like 5 to 6 months older, but
Yeah.
Well, or not. It's unsure. Like he doesn't think it's been like a whole 6 or 7 months, which
I
is
don't
probably
think it-
closer to what it's been for you guys. So
It's
he's
probably
lost.
not very easy for
He's
us
lost
to
some
determine.
time in between,
Yeah.
but without like a nice calendar watch, it's really tough to tell.
We also,
Dance
I
of
don't
the
know if
Seven
we're gonna go
Winds, that is
there.
what it's called.
I don't know if we want to go there, but we also know that there is a rumor about something very awesome being just to our east at the Laughing Gorge.
Ataz muahahaha.
Is that east or is that north?
Wait, is this entire thing flipped?
Oh no,
No,
sorry,
no.
I thought we were at Curse of Ball for some reason because it's an empty spot. I looked
Oh
there.
no. No,
Curse
it's
of
fine,
Ball
figure.
was pointed out to you. That's why it's on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the bird guy is like, hey, that's right here. Come here.
Yeah, it's roughly 4 days travel to get to the Laughing Gorge. 4 or
Maybe we
5
don't
days.
get lost.
There's also the thing over here, the
Yeah,
that
that's a lot further away.
yeah.
That
You,
one.
you also had a
I can't
couple
remember what-
other rumors that about
Yeah.
various other things that.
There's a rumor about the Naga at Kahakla.
And there's
Do you
something about the
discuss
green
that
dragon.
with
Bless
Dusty?
you. What did you just say?
Yeah.
So as
With,
you kind of discuss, like bring that up to, as they start spouting strange racial terms to Dusty, Azaka kind of perks her head up. As I attempt to flip back to Azaka's page, and she's like the Naga. She says, do you mean Saja Nbaza? The powerful and wise guardian Naga of Orulunga?
Well,
That is way too many
the person. I think this was one of the rumors from Volo. I'm gonna say Volo told us that she was
Fuck is Orulunga?
more benevolent than most Naga. So maybe that's her name.
So she tells you.
He did tell us that she was wise.
So she tells you that she knows
After her
that she is. She tells you that she is acquainted with Saja Nbaza. Saza. Mbaza. That right?
And
Even
think
I'm not.
that
Oh
might
no,
be-
that's a J. Saja.
It might be a. It's a very snake name. That might be a good
Saja.
place
Mbaza.
to get a
Is that-
bearing on where the.
That's probably my in my Saja Nabaza. It's in my pronunciation guide at the front of the book. It's so handy. Yes, Saja Nabaza. So she tells you, that she is a very wise and benevolent guardian Naga of Orulunga, and she points out Orulunga on your map.
Yeah, it's probably just up that river more, like here.
Oh, not dynamic layer. Duh. I'm not used
fog.
to I'm not used to using the fog anymore.
I think that
Orulunga.
might be the best way to kind of really find out where this lost city is. 'Cause she's supposedly been here for quite a long time. Oh, what? Way up there?
Jesus Christ.
So we're just
I did
gonna,
not expect it there.
we're
Oh,
gonna
we're in
cop.
for a
is-
trek.
We're gonna copy this over. We're gonna
Wow.
change this one to like yellow. No, not yellow. Change it to orange.
We could probably get rid of Firefinger. now.
Firebringer's orange.
Well, we don't really need to care about Firefinger anymore.
I have to remember how to spell Orolunga. Orolunga is exactly how you would expect it to be spelled. So yeah, she points to your map, way over, nestled in the cliffs on the western edge in the Mistcliff Mountains. She's like, yes, the Naga lives here in Orolunga.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's further away than I thought.
Where are we right now?
We are
Firefinger.
here.
Over here.
Okay, I saw our character icons up in the top left. and I
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
just so that we can roll.
Are we-
initiative.
Yeah, I stuck
Oh,
the
okay.
characters up there just to make it
I
easier for you
thought
guys.
it was, I thought
I-
like that's where we were, and I was like, how the fuck are we gonna get back all
That's
the
why
way over
Pyro's
here?
in Seeker's Inlet.
We're in Lantan.
Okay.
Get our guns.
So
Yeah. I feel like that ship you found might have been a Lantanese airship.
yeah, so she tells you that Orolunga was once an ancient city, but all that's now, like all that remains of the city, is a crumbling ziggurat that the Guardian Naga lives in. She tells you that the Naga is believed to be thousands of years old, and is just a font of information that she, like, as far as Ozaka knows, like, she knows everything.
And she definitely would know where Omu was.
Just out of curiosity, Dusty, you mentioned snake people. You wouldn't happen to recognize the name Rosnisi, would you?
What is it?
What's Rosnisi?
The name of the dude.
Well,
that-
he wasn't there with
But-
us, and we haven't
I
brought
was
it up.
racing.
Yeah.
I didn't really talk to too many people, but no, I don't know that one.
Give me a history check, Dusty.
Maybe let me think about that for a second.
I will say the other thing
Get
you
on my
do
brain with thinking.
the other thing you do know is that throughout your travels all throughout Chult you've encountered like hordes and hordes of undead. That the entire jungle just seems to be swimming with undead everywhere. I'm gonna say yeah. You like the name Raz Nisi sounds kind of familiar. You believe you sort of heard it in passing, as you were kind of sneaking around in that city. Like you believe you heard like one or two of the snake people mention that name. You didn't really take much stock of it at the time, but thinking about it now, you're like, yeah, I think I've heard that.
Okay, you heard all that too, right?
Thank
Yeah.
you, London boy.
Yeah? Okay, good. I wasn't sure if I was saying that in my head or if I was talking it out loud.
I did encourage
I
you to
don't
come
know,
up
that's
with
good.
like some kind of thing to talk to since you've been alone in the woods for like for like 4 months.
You
I told him,
have
like, come up with like a Wilson equivalent from like Castaway. Just
Does he have like permanent madness? It's literally meta awareness.
you see, Dusty's
Well,
like
I
built
had to
himself a
keep
little.
I had to keep talking to myself, otherwise I was gonna go insane.
You need a familiar.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
Alright.
Dado pulls out of his backpack this strange teddy bear like koala thing. It
Oh.
just looks at
I was
Pyro
really
and wants to
thinking
tear him
it's a
apart.
log.
Is it a dead Zorbo
It's like a
or
hollowed
living,
out log.
No, it's
a living Zorbo just
Liv-
hanging out in his backpack?
yeah.
Like, jump back and be like, yo, no.
Kevin
So-
Zorbo.
So the day passes. You guys get a good night's sleep throughout the evening.
Throw the hut up.
About morning comes. It's time to. The rain has slowed down considerably. You take stock of all your things. You guys make sure all your water's filled up and everything. And it is time to decide where you guys want to go.
Well, if I make the check anyway.
Well, no. Well, first
Well,
you may
we-
want
Well,
to
where
settle
we go,
on a
which way we're
destination.
going. Well, we
Where
made
we
the check.
Well, you-
We know where we're gonna go.
You're definitely sure you'll be able to make it in whatever direction you decide to go for the day.
I think we should go to Laughing Gorge to Kirsabal. That's the
Yeah.
closest thing that we know of. And people,
And it's the,
That-
it's the only place that seemed friendly.
yeah. But Laughing Gorge isn't. But Laughing Gorge potentially could have good stuff for us.
Like, I just want to go there anyways because I love that name. I am down to go there.
Wait, now that we have a new companion, is our contract null and void with the with the Burning Fist?
You're not sure.
We'll just give all the stuff to him. Like, oh, he's not under a contract.
If that means he'd be like arrested and fined.
Ah, true.
He can sneak in. He has like the crazy sneak now.
Dusty's our rogue now.
I've always been a crazy sneak man. I took my electives when I was teaching.
And if we get to Curse a Ball and we get them to perform that dance, it will make getting around a lot easier. At least for a while.
What?
If we can get them to do a dance for us, that will let us fly.
Who?
So, the
bird
Aarakocra.
people.
Bird people.
Yeah, the creepy bird people you saw at the monastery.
We rescued one of them and he told us to head over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just follow you guys.
Alright.
I gotta get brought up to speed here or something.
I think that's basically what we did the entire day, but like out of game, we will do that at some point.
Mhm.
So, I think we're headed
What the fuck can't I find?
down this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, with your check, with
20.
your tech, I drag your check. I drag Firefinger away by accident. So you guys move. Yeah, I'm gonna say you're already in there. Just for the interest in keeping fucking shit moving along. I'm gonna put you over here instead. I'm gonna cheat you over into the other square.
Alright.
You guys got a real good night's
2
sleep,
days.
resting up.
And we had like that super low DC to clear. We saw like this entire place
Yeah,
from the top of
you're
the
able.
tower.
You're able to push through much quicker than you're typically able to. Get a bit of a start. So throughout the day, at one point, you find a skeleton.
Oh,
Is he a spooky,
that's not
scary
nice to call
skeleton?
me that.
You find
Dusty got ahead of us.
You find the skeleton of a Triceratops,
Oh,
Aww.
and it
Aw.
seems
Oh no.
the thing seems to be picked absolutely clean. Like this thing is almost pristine. There's not like a single scrap of flesh left on any of the bones.
By the way, I won the race on one of these trihorns, but it only had 2 horns.
Yeah, they won a dinosaur race with a kind of somewhat
I got us a
retarded
bunch of
dinosaur.
money.
Their dinosaur was had birth defects and kind of listed to the right a little bit. and still somehow won a giant
Also-
race in the city.
Also ridden by the person with this for an animal handling check.
Hope it's a 0. Okay.
Nope,
Close enough.
it's 5 minus 1
Yep.
somehow.
Somehow the ringer, like the number 1 pick to win, knocked himself out of the race at like
Yeah.
quarter of the way in.
Would we be able to pick, to discern what picked this thing apart, or was it just random animals? That...
Zombies.
Yeah, you would bet it's probably some kind of zombies of some kind. Or maybe not zombies necessarily, but some kind of animals or something. Zombies is probably less than likely. Zombies may have started it. But you don't think the zombies would do this good of a job cleaning the thing off?
Can we see how big the bite marks are on the bones?
Sure. Give me a medicine check.
Any of us?
Sure.
There's my
checks.
0.
There's the 0.
Yeah, so
Checks.
yeah, so
Yeah, I'm getting mine as
Dusty, you are no longer exhausted anymore after your good night's sleep and rehydration, so you're
There you
back
go.
to
Nice.
regular checks.
I don't know what the hell you guys did without me.
Damn, it's on the wrong one.
No one can even roll double
Yeah,
digit.
the entertainer's been leading this trek through the jungle,
So-
unfortunately.
So Dusty, you're able to ascertain. You believe this thing had been picked clean by some other like large lizard thing, some kind of dinosaur. You know, you imagine maybe a couple carnivorous dinosaurs of whatever you want to call the things, some kind of meat. Like medium size, something a little bigger or something a little smaller than this thing, and there's probably a few of them, and perhaps some other kind of sinister thing that you're not 100% sure of exactly what this is. But-
You all heard that too, right?
So,
Yeah.
Be good.
in either case,
I don't know.
I mean, we can't save it,
no,
right?
you probably can't save it,
I mean, with that wisdom check, I probably think I could.
and you probably don't have the means to transport the bones back to like a museum back home.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask the
I mean-
Bulgarians later. They seem to be in the
When-
business of killing dinosaurs.
When they actually are living, I don't think it really needs to be in a museum.
Yeah, but you don't really see these things up in the north where you guys are from.
Yeah, true.
Like, you guys, like, these things would be more rare than seeing a dragon where you guys are from. Not everybody gets to see dragons very often, but, like, nobody, like, where you guys live has seen a dinosaur.
Speaking of which, we're looking for this, but in dragon form. When we get to the gorge.
Oh,
Okay.
you mean a skeleton?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe this is the dragon skeleton you're thinking of. So, the rest of the day goes by
The wingless dragon.
without too much incident. You make it back to your camp. Everybody give me a round of survival checks to scavenge for dinner for the evening.
I don't find shit.
A light rain.
Oh shit.
There you
Oh
go.
shit.
Well, Jez
Got
managed to
to
find
keep the
something.
slack from yesterday.
Oh, lucky for Jez. Fucking Azaka crits her fucking survival check.
Did you find an El Mirage?
You're gonna ask that every day, aren't you?
I'm gonna get
Probably.
a Almirage
Yeah,
familiar.
Pyro,
and-
give me a D4. Roll a D4. If you roll a 4, one of the if you roll a 4, she finds an El Mirage while she's out hunting. So Azaka comes back with some bunch like a whole bushel of like these banana-looking things, but
Unfortunate.
they're kind of spiral shaped, not really just like a normal bend like bananas. And you see she's also got like an El Mirage, one of those big bunny things, slumped over one of her shoulders. It seems to have a couple of her arrows like sticking out the back of it. But she
like, Dusty, we feast tonight.
Why do we need to kill them? Can't we be friends?
So Azaka just kind of looks at you and just says, "It's them or us."
I know it is. But it still
For
makes
all
me
you know,
sad.
they are vicious creatures that would do the same to you.
Yeah.
I know, but it
I
still
don't
makes me
believe that
sad.
one bit, but I'm like, yeah.
So,
They're not vicious.
I
mean, I petted it.
Follow was asleep.
So the rains are pretty light for the evening. You guys are able to replenish 1 of your gallons of water. So you've gone through 2. You can replenish 1 throughout the evening through your rain catchers. So you'll have 2 for the next day. You have more than enough food to last you today and tomorrow, thanks to Azaka's bountiful harvest. Like, you guys are going to be having rabbit sandwiches, like, all day tomorrow.
I'll probably bring back like a little berry or something. I
I'm
finally
gonna
found
add
something, guys.
1 to my fur collection and horn collection.
Stab you with that horn.
So, the next day, you guys get up, pack your stuff up. Wacky, roll me your survival check.
Ugh.
Oh. Bandage ain't gonna help.
Dun, 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 dun. So, this is where I take the thing away.
Damn it.
So when we do badly on our survival check, we don't know
We
where
get
we're
lost.
You don't know which... You lose track of where you are and what way you've gone through the day.
Yeah.
This
So
is...
you could
This,
circle back.
yeah, you guys sort of explain this to Dusty. He's like, yes, this is what my life's been like for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
Just going random directions, not knowing where he is.
Not knowing where you're going. Oh,
And
scary.
Dado's been rolling 4 months of survival checks with like a 30 DC. So, in the morning, as you guys kind of push on through the jungle, you see a strange sight as, like, you guys kind of start pushing your way through, and slowly at first, but then more and more common, you find a bunch of the trees have these big icicles, like, hanging off of them. Like, almost like parts of the trees have, like, frozen over.
Do we, like, this is a little bit out of game, do we know what the ring does that we could potentially recognize this?
Nope.
I mean, someone said it
Okay.
was the Ring of Winter.
Yeah.
But we don't
Yeah,
know
you were told it
anything
was.
like
Yeah,
that.
you were told that it was the Ring of Winter, but that was it. Other than blocking scrying, you don't know what else it can do.
So in that case, though, I think we might have to abandon what we were doing and follow this path.
So,
Or is it
well,
just like
But do
an
we-
area?
it just seems to be kind of spotted through the area that you're traveling through. A few hours later, like, you pass through them, and then shortly after they're gone. And you
We
guys
didn't
kind of
see any tracks in
it.
there. of
No,
people?
you guys basically kind of check out the whole area, and it seems to be kind of centralized in a certain spot. And then they just kind of randomly spread out kind of all over the place. And you're not really able to pick up any trails or figure out where they came from. So you eventually continue on the way you were going. Perhaps
Could've been a fight.
checking this is exactly what got you guys all turned around and lost. Later on in the day, a few hours later, as you're kind of moving through some thick brush, you hear sort of loud thumping footsteps. What sounds like 2, maybe 3 large animals or something that seem to be stomping through the jungle fairly close to you.
Do they sound fast or do they sound low?
They seem to be fairly slow. Like, whatever's making these has a fairly large gait and
Then
is
I'll
not...
probably-
It doesn't sound like they're running. It sounds like heavy walking footfalls.
Then I'll probably want to hide.
Yeah.
Because everything I know that likes to eat me only has 2 legs.
Okay. Everybody who wants to hide, give me a stealth check. Anybody that wants to stand out in the open,
Yeah,
Give
no,
me
I've
a-
been wandering around too much to know where
Give
I
me-
gotta go and not gotta go.
So,
And that's a gotta go situation.
so you guys all duck into the brush, and you hear like the loud footfalls getting closer and closer, and they seem to be shaking like the ground beneath you as they thump. All of a sudden, one of them just sort of crushes like the underbrush right beside Pyro, and Pyro just screams in like shock and just kind of gives himself away. And then all the footfalls just suddenly just stop. And Pyro, you look up and you see a large, what looks like a giant. This sort of like icy white and blue giant that seems to just be straddling across you. And he's about, probably close to 20 feet tall. And you see him, he's got like this massive club slung over one shoulder, and he just kind of like looks down at you, and you see he sort of like bends all the way down so you can get a much closer look at you. Why am I looking at this book? This book is useless. Why do I keep opening the DMG for no reason?
Does he look friendly?
Give me insight check. He doesn't look naturally friendly. You wonder if like maybe it's just like resting bitch face that he's got. And he's just grumpy looking like all the time. Give me a nature check, Pyro. See if you recognize what this thing is. I think it's gonna be nature.
This might not.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Closest, probably.
I have a -1 in that. So I'm impressed.
So yeah, you believe that this, as well as the other two large figures that look quite similar, are frost giants. And they are, they stand 21 feet tall. Yeah, you see the one above you's got a big club, and then there's two other ones that have just massive, massive axes that they're carrying around. And it just kind of like, it looks down, and then it sort of reaches into the brush and kind of like picks you up by the shoulder and just kind of hoists you up to like towards your feet so you can get a better look at you. And he says, it's like, what are you, small human?
I am exactly that, a small human. Hello.
He says, we are pursuing one of your kind. Tell us where he is.
What's he look like?
Tells you, he looks like you, a man. A Northman.
He's racist.
He has something that we wish to take back. A ring.
Oh, a lot of people are looking for him. We're actually looking for him too.
What? Pyro.
So yeah, as you say that, you see like the two other giants sort of flanking the one that you're talking to start like kind of like gripping their axes a little tighter.
We haven't found him though. So
No,
your
we.
guess.
The weed
I haven't
part,
found him though. Your guess. is as
I'm
good
like
as
hands
mine.
over my mouth, trying not to scream right
This is
now.
all coming back to me now. Oh, I'm starting to remember a whole lot of things now, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this is the guy who doesn't know when to shut up.
So the giant is going to make a perception check. His friends will as well. We'll roll the
I wanna-
stealth checks. What did you want?
It feels like the jig is up with the Wii part. I'm gonna step out with my hands up.
So he kind of
Yeah,
looks
okay.
around and then he looks at you again, Pyro, and says, "Are you alone, small one?"
There's an even smaller one now.
Is Jez?
Well, yeah,
Like, he's not
you,
small, but I-
Jazz, you kind of like peer through the peek through the bushes, and you see this frost giant looming over Pyro. He's kind of got Pyro like by like almost the scruff of the neck, and has like kind of pulled him up to his feet, And
Oh, I was gonna step out so that they could see me.
oh, you can step. You see him like look around and kind of look at you, like kind of past you, and like look around.
Yeah.
And they clearly do not seem to know that any of the rest of you are there. So if you want to step out, you can. But
I don't think this giant is stupid enough to not notice the we part. So stepping out will make it known. So yeah, I'm gonna step out with my hands up and say, yeah, we're looking for him, but we haven't found him yet. Was the frost back there your doing, or maybe it was his?
So they tell you, they just kind of like, he looks back at his two companions, and the two companions kind of look at each other, and they all begin to sort of like mutter in what you believe to be giant. And after like a minute or two of kind of like mumbling back and forth.
Well, if it goes on, can I cast comprehend languages so I can hear them?
You can. Do you? It will. I'll give you a stealth check to see if you can get away with it, but it like you're not 100% sure like how well they'll react to like you just like openly starting to like cast some kind of magical spell. You don't believe they're smart enough to like differentiate like what you're casting or to understand really what you're doing. They'll just see like small thing
Like
is
these-
making magic.
These
They do know that
like
some magic hurts.
used to magic.
Yeah,
They're not used to, or they're not the type of giant that would actually be casting, so they wouldn't care. They would just be like, "Oh, casty things kill." So yeah, in that case, I wouldn't cast it. I'll just let them talk to themselves.
So, and he just kind of like looks back at Pyro and is like, "What does small humans intend to do with the ring when they find it?"
Out of game. What did we want to do with it?
We're just gonna give it back, bring it to the
So
harbor.
you were asked by Romalia to recover the ring, or recover the ring and Artist Cimber, because he is an ex-harper who just like ran off with it and has been hiding in Chult. And from throughout your travels, you found that you are not the only ones pursuing Artis and this ring. There seems to be the Zentarum seem interested in finding him in the ring as they accosted Lawaj in prison the first time he got locked up. Yeah, Dusty, you missed Lawaj getting locked up multiple times. He's not really play well with others. But yeah, so it seems there are also and you even heard as much probably I think from Romalia that the Zents were looking for this ring, and that they were that they were looking for this ring, and that
I will tell
like there
him.
was other people probably looking for him as well.
I will tell him that I know that there are a lot of people looking for it, and I want to make sure that it does not fall into the wrong hands. I know that a specific group of people called the Dents in particular, are looking for it, and we want to make sure it doesn't reach them ever.
So the giant kind of bellows at you. It's like, all you small folk are the wrong hands. Only the frost giants are able to properly contain the powers of this ring. The ring is capable of great evil. It belongs in the hands of our kin.
I'm gonna think to myself, like, will it even fit on their hands? How big of a ring is this?
So, give me an Arcana check.
Don't you know how magic works by now?
So yeah, you recall hearing that like a lot of magical items, especially wearable magical items, rings, armor, boots, gloves, those type of things, like magically resize themselves when you attune to them. So you believe that like if one of them possessed the ring, once they attune to it, the ring would just grow in size large enough for them to like slip it on their finger. Same if you found a giant-sized ring that was magical, once you attuned to it, it would shrink small enough for you to put it on.
No one ever mentioned that.
Well, we haven't.
You're recalling it now.
Shaping clothing, but yeah.
So
I don't have much to reply to him. I'm just gonna be like, well, if you guys are the right hands, then I guess your hands are the ones we'll deliver it to, huh?
okay. Do you intend? I want to either make you roll perception or not persuasion or deception, depending on if you are actually lying to him that you will. Like, if you intend to give them the ring 100%, then give me a persuasion. If it's if you intend to give it to the Harpers or keep it for yourselves, give me deception.
I don't actually know which one I
Pyro,
want.
pyro.
It's all on you. You're in his hands.
I'm still hitting with Dusty, trying not to lose my mind.
I'm just like staring and just being like, all right, what's gonna happen here? I don't even know. I just got my friends back, and now we're talking about
Yeah, it's like you
Blizzard
probably
people,
spent
and I don't know.
Yeah, you probably spent the whole evening, like, once you kind of like got, like, once you reintroduced yourself into the group and all that, you probably found yourself really fulfilled for the first time in months, like having people you know around and that you can trust, and you feel like you felt just like really happy, the happiest you felt in a long time, and now you're remembering the type of shit that used to happen when you were hanging around with these guys.
Wait.
It's like, oh,
What?
oh
So you're saying
yeah.
he wasn't
I
off in
should
a
have just
corner
kept
talking to
running. I
himself
should
like
have just
Smeagol?
kept going, and maybe I would have found my way back. No, it just
These guys are gonna sink this jungle. I know it.
You were the one who
So what is your response, or are you? So what are you rolling, Pyro?
Well,
Persuasion or deception? It's probably.
Where do you want the ring to go?
Yeah, basically, do you want the ring to go to these guys, or do you want the ring to go where you were told to bring it? Or do you want to just keep it for yourself?
I don't want to keep it for myself. And
Seems like a pretty cool, popular ring. Everybody wants it.
You know
like
that
the
I would feel
iPhone
very
X.
strongly-
yeah,
you know that I would feel very strongly about bringing it to the Harpers.
I do know that. So I guess I'm rolling deception.
Okay.
Yep.
Posed by the giant's insight. So the giant just kind of stares a hole through you as his tiny giant brain seems to be kind of processing the whole thing. And you feel him sort of let go of you. And he just kind of looks you dead in the eye and says, "Do not cross us, small one. The ring will be ours. Remember that." And you see him just kind of like wave his companions forward, and the three of them just kind of start stomping their way off through the jungle.
Once they're gone, I just fall out of the brush, and I'm like, Jafar, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? And why did you step out and... I'm disappointed in both of you.
So, after probably about 15 minutes or so, the sound of them stomping through the jungle eventually fades off so much you don't hear it anymore.
I'll probably respond to her by saying, well, it made them stop looking for you.
See, this is why I should play a child.
You know what, that's fair. That's fair. Have we just explained this whole ring business to Dusty yet? I'm gonna guess that's a no.
No, we probably haven't.
Probably not. There's probably a lot of things you
At the
haven't
same
explained to
time,
Dusty.
It was only a side note that we just keeps popping up every once in a while.
You guys, it's like Dusty comes out of the bush. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's this guy with this ring. It's like,
I
don't worry
don't really
about it.
know anything about this ring. I literally know nothing.
We don't know. No one knows anything about that ring that we talk to.
And so you,
They just know
That's
that.
why I don't feel like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be some big secret. I'm just
We just know
saying.
that
like, hey,
a lot of
yeah,
people
we're
know
looking
about
for
it. A lot of people want it, and you can't find it using magic.
yeah. So essentially, they were told by Romalia Haventree, the Harper woman you guys met a long time ago, back at the start of the campaign. She kind of helped broker the whole thing with getting everybody to Chult. Their contact that put them in touch with one of the 7 merchant. I can't even remember. 7 or 9 now. The merchant
6.
princes of Port Nyanzaru. No, it's 7 or 9. But yeah, like the Harpers kind of helped get them here in the state that they are. And as sort of like a side favor, Romalia was like, "Hey, like while you're down there, can you keep an eye out for this artist Simber guy, who he ran off with this super powerful ring called. Oh well, now they've learned since that it's called the Ring of Winter." And the only thing they know about it is that it's powerful, it possesses great magical powers, and it also possesses the ability to not be detected by magical means, which is why everyone's having such a hard time finding it, because you can't use scrying or any just magic spell to be like, "What the fuck's the ring? Well, it's over there."
Right.
And as best the Harpers can tell, he's disappeared in Chult, this guy. He's like an ex-Harper himself, so... He's gone rogue, ran off with the ring, is hiding here, and now, throughout their journey, the party has figured out that, like, not only is, you know, the Zentarum, the horrible black market Zentarum people after this ring, and the Harpers are after this ring, but some frost giants, and
Snake people.
the snake people were looking for the ring too.
And
Everybody's
why
looking...
does this dude- How did this dude get this ring?
Romalia did not explain how he acquired the ring.
Why does he want it?
Oh no, he has it.
He has it.
No, I know, but why does he? Why?
It's a
Why
powerful
though?
ring.
Yeah,
Why
so...
does Romalia
Powerful
want it?
and fuck
That's
you.
what- that's
Yeah,
what he
Romalia explained that the ring is quite powerful and it would be very dangerous in the hands of like the Zentarum or like some evil group. So the Harpers want it back so that they can protect it essentially, or like hide it away.
Right.
Because that's kind of their jam.
Yeah. The
And
Harpers are
An
good guys.
ex-Harper agent took it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Harper
okay.
agent that defected when he got it probably went crazy or something.
And he was probably in charge of hiding it, or like the Harpers may have had it in their possession at one time, and he just grabbed it and ran off. It's like super powerful ring,
I
yoink.
see. Okay.
But that
You know, that doesn't really put the Harpers in a very good light.
Well, doesn't put this
well,
guy...
the Harpers, you guys know the Harpers to be good guys. That is sort of like a well-known fact throughout the Sword Coast, and that the Harpers are kind of the good guys. Them and the Order of the Gauntlet are sort of the two groups, the two factions that exist, like where you're from, that are benevolently good. Whereas, like, the Order of the Gauntlet are, like, just, they're brawn.
Lawful.
They're paladins that, like, yeah, uphold the law, kill the undead, blah, blah, blah. And the Harpers are more political and sneaky, but they have the best interests of the realm at heart and always, like, do the right thing for the most part. Even there's sneaky spy people, but like really good sneaky spy people, not like underhanded sneaky spy people like you would expect them to be, which is kind of weird. But so
We also don't know what this guy looks like, so...
nope, you just know he's a human male. Could look like anything. Maybe it's even Dusty.
Pretty descript.
What? What? No.
Dusty checks his hands for rings. Like, no, damn it. Am I Artist
I
Simber?
could have just gotten the hell out of here.
The rest of us are probably used to these random outbursts.
So,
Not for a while.
the rest of your day goes
Uneventful.
goes pretty uneventful. You make camp at the end of the night. I sort of about partway through, about a little ways into the evening. I'm not going to make you guys roll for food. You have plenty of food left over from yesterday. It's also not a thing you can really keep pushing. You kind of got to eat it right away before it spoils, especially in the temperature and humidity of Chult. About partway through, like the rain starts to pick up partway through the night. Whoever's on probably second watch is able to set up all the rain catchers, and you guys are able to fill up on your water by the time you wake up in the morning. In the morning, you guys pack up, and Wacky.
Oh, well, it's one better than what
Well,
it
we
was.
do have advantage.
You do have advantage from Azaka.
Yeah.
Have advantage, yay!
Because
So-
what's her name is helping
I
me.
keep forgetting.
The last time it didn't matter because they were both the same.
Yeah.
Polygon.
Now we know
So-
where we're at.
Yeah, so you and Azaka kind of go over the map, and you find out you've gone a little bit off course. You traveled more to the
that's
south
okay.
than you meant to. But where do you want to go today? I guess are you going to...
Like here.
Here,
Yep.
here.
Do we want to just like
Well,
do it?
sorry, were we headed to Mesra or were we headed to the...
We know
We're trying to go
going
to Curse
the
of Ball,
gorge.
but I think we're
It's-
going towards the
Yeah,
X range.
Jez wanted to head to the Laughing Gorge, and then wanted you guys to, like, after you were done at the gorge, basically follow the river down to Cursabal.
The tip literally only mentioned that
The Laughing Gorge,
it
essentially.
was near Mesro, not that it was at Mesro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then we're down here.
What was the hint again, Jez? Just so I remember.
It was green dragon bones in Laughing Gorge near Mesro, rumored to have treasure nearby. Let me look for the exact wording. Cholt was once a playground for a green dragon. Her bones mark the location of a hidden treasure trove. If you travel to Mesro and head east across the Laughing Gorge, then south towards Kirsabal, you might stumble upon the dragon's bones and earn yourself a place in the history books.
Yeah, so you believe it is somewhere south of the Laughing Gorge. So, according to the rumor, it's probably somewhere, like, essentially in, like, all these dark areas. Not...
Oh, so it's not in the gorge itself.
Yeah, there's the rumor says, like, south of Laughing Gorge. So, essentially, like, these group of squares here is essentially what you're probably thinking it's going to be in. Or group of hexes.
Yeah.
And then I also need to...
Basically, I think it is because it's east across the Laughing Gorge,
Bloop.
and then south. I think it's probably in this area.
Yep. So you guys have an uneventful day marching through. As you make camp, everybody give me survival checks for food.
We'll probably want to cross down here where the gorge meets, so we don't have to go across cliffs.
You can also
Hey, I did good.
I'm back to that.
Azaka can also tell you that she knows that Ataz Muhahaha is in the section that starts with A. So she tells you that there is a bridge that is marked on your map. She marks it on your map with an X, right, like right next to the thing that says like what the gorge is called. And she tells you that the Laughing Gorge is a gaping chasm crossed by an ancient stone span that is known as the Monkey Bridge.
Why is it called the
Will
Monkey
we
Bridge?
find monkeys there?
She tells you that she thinks it is called that because there are there's monkeys that perch along the walls and hang from their tails from the underside of the bridge. Some of which are living monkeys and some are ancient carvings that are part of the bridge. So there's carvings of monkeys, there's real monkeys. So like,
Are they
monkey bridge.
That's not confusing
they-
at all.
are they like there to kill you, or are they just hanging out?
She tells you that they seem to just be monkeys. She tells you that there is a section of the bridge towards the far eastern side of the bridge. Part of it's kind of crumbled away, but it's not completely untraversable. Like she tells you about like a 15 to 20 foot chunk of the bridge is just missing on the eastern side. But she does tell you it is one of the sort of quicker ways across the gorge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask Cass if she wants to pet the monkeys.
I
Plus,
mean,
you could eat the monkeys. I mean,
I
monkeys
I'd
are
rather eat
edible.
the monkeys.
I don't know if we'll get a Zaka across that bridge.
That's a good point.
She does tell you she's never actually crossed the bridge herself.
I mean,
She is.
I'd
probably
like to-
jump it. She and I, at least.
Yeah, you
that
guys
last
could.
part. but I'm more about worried that the bridge itself will be hard to cross.
So many people saying it's dinner time. It's making me hungry. God damn it, chat, you're making me hungry. I should have ate more. But anyways, your day is a wash. You managed to find food for the day between a bunch of you, except for Jez. Jez is no help whatsoever.
I'm never any help. Except for that one time that someone else showed me up.
You guys are able to get a gallon's worth of water out of the rain catchers as a light drizzle kind of like goes through. Maybe a bit more than a light drizzle.
So we only have 1 gallon today.
Well, you guys were full to 3 because you guys can carry up to 3, and you need 2. So you drank your 2, and got 1 back. So you have 2 more for tomorrow. So you just kind of have to hope for rain.
Okay. I just know that if worst comes to worst, I'll
Drink your own pee.
give my water to someone else.
Yep.
So that they at least can be guaranteed to get it.
We have 2 each. We're fine.
We have 3 each. 3 gallons each. Right now we have 2 each. So we're fine today.
So, give me your check, Wacky, as you guys set out in the morning. At least one of those is a big number. So where do you want to go?
Be adamant about checking out this bridge.
I mean, we can check it out if Azaka's fine with trying to cross it.
She tells you that she still doesn't like heights, but after what you guys kind of forced her to endure, she's feeling a little bit better about it. After you guys basically like yanked her off the 300-foot tower and like made her slow fall, made her like sit through a 300-foot tower. You made her sit through like 30 seconds of like just torturous like falling from like a great height.
On the plus side, if we fall, we can do that again. We'll just all jump off it together.
So
Yeah. Alright, into here then.
So to there. So you guys make
You know
it
where
to
the bridge is?
Yeah,
Right where
Yeah.
the X is?
It said the bridge is the X.
Okay.
So that X is from her. She put the X on your map to tell you exactly where the bridge is. So you guys, again, you don't seem to come to much trouble throughout your journey. You do run into a group of undead. Sort of cresting over a bit of a hill, you see what looks like probably about a dozen or so zombies just kind of milling about in one patch of woods. You're pretty sure you can easily avoid them if you kind of go around. Or you can blindly attack them if you want to, but judging how you guys
I'm sure
have been
we're
going,
avoiding them.
yeah,
It's
that's kind of what I assumed.
Not too much out of the way.
You do. I'm not really counting it as much, but you do seem to run into quite a few undead here and there. It's like some of them, like, are usually like it's like 1 or 2 that you're able to see from like a long ways. I was like, oh, there's a zombie there, and you guys just kind of like just go around a few trees and just rather than even like waste the time going for it. But yeah, you see patches of undead all throughout like the last few days of your journey, which I have not been keeping track of. 1, 2. You were on day 14 when we started today. Well, the morning after, like where you like basically the day you ran into Dusty was day 14. I think this would be day 19. Day 19 in the jungle. So towards the evening, as you guys are starting to look for a spot to make camp, you find a small ruin. You come to this stone slab that seems to be about... It's about 30 feet wide. It's like a 30-foot by 30-foot square, like stone square, that's sitting about 3 or 4 feet high out of sort of the jungle floor. You guys kind of look around this thing, and the only markings you seem to see on it is a maze. You see like this, like a circular stone maze that's been carved into one of the faces, or sort of like one of the sides of this kind of big Like, it almost kind of looks like what Firefinger looked like stone square, except this is only like 4 feet high.
Well,
I'm gonna ask Dusty if this is the maze he was talking about.
no, it was a hedge maze. That's the maze that you're thinking of, Pyro.
Yeah, Dusty's story was about a hedge, like an actual maze made out of bushes and hedges around a lake.
But we do know Volo, I think, told us that Ubtao put these mazes here,
Right.
and he wants us to trace it with our finger.
There
Was it-
was. Hang on, I remember that note. I wrote it down
God
somewhere.
It was someone.
Get on my map.
That use me.
But I'll trace the maze.
Okay. So you run your finger around the maze. Takes you a couple of minutes, based on what your intelligence score is. It takes you a couple of minutes as you dead ended a few times. As you kind of trace a path all the way through the maze, you hear, like, as your finger leaves out the other side of it, you hear a grinding, like stone is being ground up against other stone, and you see the section of the rock where the maze is carved into starts to sort of recede back and leads to it recedes back and gives you guys like a passageway going down.
Huh.
It opens up to some stone steps that seem to
Okay, Paul.
descend into it, and it's just pitch black inside.
I'm gonna be like, Karen,
Uh,
what do you see?
but I
Actually,
see stairs.
I want to find out something. I want to show Dusty my the 2 onyx figurines of the little dudes. Are these magic or just art?
What? What now are you showing me? You're just throwing things in my
Yeah.
face.
We've been a
What-
while
what
without a
is this?
wizard.
Yeah, been a while.
Also, what is this and this thing?
What is this? Just shove it in his
All
face
right,
like
all right. What is
that
this
dude.
thing? Let me look at this thing.
2 figurines that look like dudes with pubic hair.
Well, you didn't need to put it that way, but okay.
Well, that's the descriptions that it
Oh.
gave.
All right, so I will. What is it? You just want to find out if they're magical, or do you want to find out what they are?
I mean, find out what they are. They'll tell you if they're nothing, won't they?
Well, like he
identify
can,
them later
it
on.
like he could like use detect magic on them to tell you if they have magical powers.
Can I identify?
Like,
Yep.
is just casting identify easier than casting detect magic then identify?
Well,
Or-
if he's doing it as a ritual, it doesn't really matter what he's doing. But you guys are also
I would cast as a ritual either way.
so.
Uh,
You.
Go ahead.
I was just throughout your evening, yeah, you kind of give them to Dusty. Oh yeah, I guess you guys want to know what's down in the thing yet.
Yeah, in the meantime, I see what I could see from the top of the stairs.
So you
or
peer in.
passageway.
Yeah, we'll take care of the thing first. So you kind of like poke your head down and peer in. Inside, you see a chamber matching the outside dimensions of the stone plinth, for lack of a better term. Like you find it like a room that's about the same dimensions as the stone plinth above. Inside, like the stairs descend down, and it ends up being, several feet sunken into the ground because the ceiling's probably about 10 feet high. Looking around, you see nothing inside. It just seems to be an empty room. But looking at it, you figure, if anything else, it would probably be a much safer place to spend the night than like out, just like under a tarp in the trees.
We wouldn't get much rainfall from here, though.
You could set them up
We could always
outside.
yeah.
But
How dark is it?
as dark as a sunless,
dark?
lightless room would be. There's
Uh,
probably a little bit of light coming in from the open doorway.
I'm gonna light a torch and I'm gonna start like feeling around the walls to see if there's like any
We
hidden
have-
switches.
You have a wand of secrets.
We do.
You probably use it at some point.
So
Did we?
The first time I could get to use it because we haven't been anywhere man-made.
you could use it on Dad and see if he has any secrets.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Maybe he's a construct. There's like a secret passage in his chest.
Secret compartment.
To his heart. And
Well,
it's
I will save you time because you'll be able to get the charge back at dawn anyways for the Wand of Secrets. You use it and find and like search the walls and that, and you find there is no other way. There is no other way out of this room, and there is no further passages deeper into the inside of it. Seems to just
That's pretty
be
much
this.
just a safe room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Alright.
believe that what you found is some kind of chamber. It's unclear what it would have been used for, but at the very least, you think you could use it as a safe place to sleep for the night. You know, it'll be warm and dry. You can set up your rain catchers up outside. At this point, it has probably started to rain. Yeah, the heavy rains of Chult continue to beat down upon you. So you could still set your rain catchers and that like out in the woods, but at least have like a drier, sort of safer spot to sleep. So like now if you got jumped in the middle of the night, they can only come from the front. They can't come from like all around you. Or they might just like go right on by you. Like if a horde of zombies like washed over your camp, now they would just like go by the stone thing and probably not even notice you're there.
Yeah, so it's a little bit safer.
yeah. That's good. So I guess we're gonna camp in there tonight and we're gonna figure out if the onyx statues are magical or not.
Yeah, so
Well, I mean, I've been doing ritual cast.
yeah, so now that you know, as you
I
make
also
your
wanna
as you
keep
make
it
your
big.
camp, yeah, as you make your camp, Dusty checks them out. They are you are 100% sure they are not magical of any kind. Give me a. What the fuck am I gonna make you roll, Dusty? Give me a history check, Dusty.
Okay. History check, go.
Good.
That's pretty good. So, you remember at some point while you were just trudging around in the jungle, you remember seeing a couple of creatures that looked like these, not exactly like, because these are kind of rudimentary looking carvings, but you do remember seeing a couple creatures that looked like these carvings. You remember that they were little sprites, like little pixie-looking things. They looked humanoid. They were probably only, they were probably like several inches tall or like a foot tall at the very most. Had like 2 arms, 2 legs, but sort of longer, spindly arms and legs. And they had what almost looked like a carved stone for like a face, and then wild, unkempt, black, tangled hair. You remember seeing a couple of them, and they were just kind of like dancing about in some like flowers and that. The only thing, yeah, they're 6 inches tall. That's what they are. You remember that like the 2 that you saw didn't look the same either. Like they looked distinctly different from each other, like the carvings on their face and like the heights and like the sort of the like length of the arms. Like they very distinctly looked different, almost as if like they are individuals, not just like a copy and paste creature. You remember sort of like trying to get a closer look, and as soon as they sort of became aware of your presence, they flittered off. They seemed they spooked real easy, but they seemed to dance around like some kind of pixie or fairy creature.
Are they like Kadama?
Unfortunately, Dusty doesn't know what the names of them are. He probably came up with some kind of crazy name for them.
No, I'm thinking like from Princess Mononoke
These are
with hair. Do you remember that? Or did you ever watch Princess
I don't think
Mononoke?
I ever bothered watching Princess Mononoke. How am I going to do this and keep this page?
Yeah, that looks very Princess Mononoke.
Can't. No. That's the wrong page. This is tough because I can't see my camera when I do this. They look like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Ugh. Little pixie people with like stone faces. With that description, I'll roll that.
I wonder what these statues are.
Azaka is able to sort of chime in, and that she says she's heard of such a thing called the Chewinga. They are small creatures that lived in the forests of Wayne's World. So she tells you that they are tiny little elemental spirits of the forest. That, but you know, ancient civilization. She says that like ancient civilizations and some groups and that probably worshipped them as like not so much gods, but like some kind of
Forest spirits.
Yeah, just like a natural, spirits of the jungle that would, and appeasing them would, make life better in this horrible, horrible jungle. She tells you she has never seen them whatsoever in all her times in the jungle, and she doesn't really know of anybody that has. But this is all just kind of rumor and conjecture that she's heard. Chewinga. I expected an H in there. But so that is what the carvings are. So the next day, you guys are able to top off your water.
Before we go on to the next day, can I have Dusty ritual cast detection or identification on the ring as well, even though I think it's absolutely nothing?
Which ring?
The ring that was with the stuff.
Yeah, the gold carnelian ring.
Oh, yeah. There's no magical powers to the ring whatsoever. Just a nice ring.
Nope. I continue to wear it.
Yep. So, next day you guys set out and Wacky roll some dice. So, you guys make it. I'm assuming you're heading to the bridge.
Yeah.
So, about halfway through your day, you make it to the bridge, a big stone bridge over a chasm. Once you get not too far from it, a road kind of begins to sort of materialize out of the growth, sort of like a nicely nicely traveled dirt road. So this bridge probably used to be quite traveled once upon a time. Perhaps it was like a trade route from Mesro, which is like not too far to the north. Following the road, the trees start to die down as you reach the gorge, and you reach what seems to be about 100-foot gorge, like 100-foot deep gorge. And there's this just massive stone bridge that's going from the west bank to the east bank. You would imagine it's probably, like 60, 70, 80 feet across, or probably more. It's probably closer to 100 feet from like one side of the gorge to the other. Down below, you see a river. It's probably, you can't quite probably see Kitcher's Inlet, but like checking your map, you're able to tell like, oh, this river snakes south towards Cursabal, and you can kind of see, you could probably see just far enough that the river starts to widen at like the furthest point of the horizon that you can see, and that kind of it leads to the inlet, and that leads back out to the sea.
And then to the far.
So, looking down below, you see probably half a dozen brontosauruses, like far below you, that seem to be just like drinking from the river. You get the occasional colorful bird kind of like comes up from like the trees down below. But
What?
That's a. Never mind.
so
Going.
What?
What?
No,
That's a
So-
dinosaur?
so looking across the bridge.
I'm not. I'm not. Nothing should surprise me anymore. Just keep going.
So
Voice in my head.
the stone bridge
Oh,
is
you guys
about.
know there were dinosaurs here?
Well,
I'm sure
there's
he's seen
dinosaurs down below.
He's been here for 4 months.
So, the stone bridge itself is about 15 to 20 feet wide. Like, the pathway itself is about 15 feet wide. The bridge kind of gets higher towards the center. It's an arch bridge, so it gets a bit higher in the center. There are statues. There seems to be all sorts of kind of alcoves. Every few feet, there's like a big alcove sort of cut into the side of the bridge that the stone railing kind of goes around, and then there's like a big monkey statue in that alcove. And this continues every few feet until the center of the bridge. At the center of the bridge, there are no alcoves, but you see some kind of shrine that's taking up a good chunk of the dead center of the bridge. And that's about as far. You can't really see the other side of the bridge from here because it starts to slope back down. So sort of the last thing you can kind of see from your vantage point is this large shrine in the dead center of the bridge.
Okay. We should probably stop at the shrine and pay respects, or whatever people do at shrines.
So like this first part of the bridge looks safe, right?
Yep. The entire bridge looks kind of cracked and broken in that, but the stones are enormous. You imagine that, like, yeah, if kind of looking over the side and kind of looking at it from probably a little ways down, yeah, you imagine that, like, if the stones are still holding themselves up, that your weight is not going to probably dislodge them. You may want to keep Dusty from like slapping like thunderclaps into like the side of it. Or was it Thunderwave? Thunderwave is what I'm thinking of. You may not want to get him to just start like blasting Thunderwave into the floor over and over again.
Alright.
Well, I mean,
Let's go check
you
out
guys
that
can do
shrine.
whatever you want. That's how you.
Well, we definitely don't want to. We don't want those giants here.
I'm gonna take a quick peek around for like living monkeys.
Give me a perception check. So, you do see, you think you spot some movement kind of as you kind of move away from the bridge a little bit and kind of look sort of underneath, like Azaka mentioned to you. You think you see some movement under there. You're not entirely sure. But you do notice sort of the shrieking of monkeys coming from down in the gorge, and it kind of just echoes and reverberates into this just sort of cacophony of sound. And, you know, it just seems like a mishmash of just sound that's just all kind of blending and overlapping with each other. And then every once in a while, it starts to mix itself into what sounds like a haughty, gloating laughter. So, like, the echoing of the monkeys manages to sort of catch itself just right, and it starts to just echo and reverberate and sound like something just laughing, heartily laughing away.
Now I know how this place got its name.
So, you listen to this as it, like, starts to, like, the laughing starts to just boom and fill the chasm below you, and as it does, like, the entire gorge begins to fall silent. And then, after, like, several minutes, you start to hear, like, the little bits of echoes of monkeys, like, chattering away. And, like, again, like, the sound of the monkeys starts to slowly, like, build back up. You're able to kind of discern that you think that the sort of the laugh, like, once it all sort of falls into, like, a laughing sound, it scares the monkeys and they shut up for a minute. And then once everything seems to be fine, they just go back to chattering away. You imagine if you stay here long enough, you're probably going to see this happen over and over and over again.
Alright, well, let's get to the other side of this fucking bridge.
Well, we should stop at the shrine to see what's there.
I'll stop at the shrine.
we're going past it.
So, as you guys step onto the bridge, you notice more maze-like carvings. Most of them are all kind of like chipped and weathered away, but you see, especially like when you first came upon the bridge itself, lots of maze designs sort of in the motif of the bridge. And as you make it to the center, a stone shrine stands at the midpoint of the bridge. It consists of an imposing statue of a Chultan warrior wearing a war mask, hunkered down like a panther ready to pounce. Like the monkeys elsewhere on the bridge, the carving is highly stylized. Bright gems flash in its eye sockets. A human skeleton lies crumpled near the statue's feet. Several of its bones are obviously broken, but it's impossible to tell whether these injuries happened while the person was alive or were caused by scavengers after death.
I feel like it
don't
might
like
not be a
this.
good idea to try to grab those.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch them. I'm gonna take a closer look at them, though. I'm just gonna peer at them a little bit. Is that investigation?
Well, what are you trying to just sort of like figure out what they are, or?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at them a little bit closer.
Give me a perception check. You know the statue's eyes look real pretty.
Is there...
The statue's eyes look real pretty and sparkly.
That was pretty as your ring, don't worry about it. Is there a maze on the statue? Or is it, like, just on the bridge itself?
So, yeah, you see you see sort of like a maze-like motif in the base of the statue. Similar to the ones you've seen sort of all over the motif of it, but you again see this one repeated. And it does look a lot like the maze that you saw on that
Plinth.
that plinth, a night or two ago.
You wanna bother with this one, or...?
I mean, whenever we see a maze, we should trace it.
Alright,
Uptow's good god.
I'll trace it this time then.
Absentee god, but he's a good god. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of look at it, and the statue looks like it looks a bit weathered, like it's covered in vines and everything else, but you can kind of discern sort of the pattern of the maze. If you would like so you're gonna try and like trace it, sort of like trace through.
Yeah.
Yeah, who is the one doing it?
I can.
Okay, give me an intelligence check.
Oh.
So despite like the mud and dirt and sort of like overgrowth of vines and that around it, you're able to kind of trace your way through the maze, and you don't feel any different.
Did anything else happen?
Alright, cool.
Like, do we notice anything that's changed? Maybe with the statue, did he move? Did his eyes change color? I don't know.
Nope, nothing seems to have changed whatsoever.
Is there like a bowl for offerings or something, or is it just?
Nope, just the statue.
Okay.
How old do those bones at the floor look?
It is a skeleton, so fairly old. Old enough. It is a skeleton, so because it's a skeleton, it's been around for quite a while. Decades, maybe.
Old as balls.
Yeah. There's no flesh left.
It's not. It's probably not pit clean. It's probably decayed clean.
So, Azaka kind of like sort of steps forward, and you see her kind of like kneel at the base of the statue, and she also traces a path. Like she takes a glove off her hand and traces her finger through the maze.
You think it's something?
She explains to you that this is a statue of Ubtao.
Oh, so tracing it is our offering.
Yeah, she tells you that it's like, yes, tracing a path through one of Ubtao's mazes is how one honors him.
I will do it as well. I'll trace through it.
Okay, give me an intelligence check.
Well,
Oh
I saw
my.
them do it, so
So, you see Pyro, he's trying it, and he seems to be getting lost, and he's like bumping
Please
into
don't
dead
fuck
ends.
it up.
Well, I guess anybody who's paying attention that's not Pyro, give me a perception check.
I don't see shit.
Shit.
Oh, the 20. Come on.
So you guys nobody's really paying that much attention to what Pyro's doing. He seems to get through it, but you're not 100% sure if he went through it or you don't know if he hopped over something by accident or went back out the way he came in. You're unsure. But he seems confident that he pulled it off.
I don't like this. I guess if we're all done here, we keep going.
Well, I gotta.
well,
check
I
it.
was doing it more from a religious perspective, oh yes, honor the dude.
Yeah. Well, we all.
I was like, I honor you, great Lord Ubtao, and he just started swirling his maze a little bit.
Here's
Give him a
here's
little
my,
diddle in his maze.
Here's my maze.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of brush a bit of dirt and vines aside as you trace your way through it and find your way out. That just leaves Dusty. Whether Dusty wants to do it or he believes in all this crazy hocus pocus.
I still don't kind of know what's going on, but let's give it a shot here.
There's
Also
a god
something we should probably
named
explain at some
Ubtao.
point.
There's a god named Ubtao, and the Chultans loved him. But
And he loved the
they
Chultans.
also loved
Till they
also
fucked
loved
up.
greed. They also loved greedy things. And then that's when Ubtao left. He left all these mazes to honor him.
Yeah, so Dusty
Wow,
kind of
wrap up that explains nothing.
Dusty kind of wanders over. He's like, what is it? This is like one of those jumbles on a kid's menu. And he just kind of "Ugh." Just effortlessly traces his finger through it, and he's like, what?
Well, the last time,
This is stupid.
we did it, it opened up a chamber for us, so
Yeah, this is
every time
Can
we
I-
come
the
across
second
one,
time.
maybe it'll do
Can
something
I
for
That's the
us.
second
have-
time we came across
I will
it.
say Hazaka is probably able to explain to him that the god Ubtao was sort of the main god of Chult. He is the one that was worshipped by most of the Chultan civilizations that were here, and Ubtao loved mazes, and the other big thing that Ubtao did was he sealed away something called Dendar the Night Serpent in one of the volcanoes, and kept him sealed away to protect Chult and the rest of the world. And cities especially Omu, which was the lost city that your friends seem to think that you showed up in, and that they're now trying to find again. The forbidden city of Omu was a place of great not technology, but it was a place of great decadence. And they stopped basically following Ubtao, and Ubtao eventually kind of forsook Omu and most of the other places in Chult eventually, and Omu essentially left this land. And then other gods kind of filled in, and
Wait,
the people...
Omu left this land?
Or
or
not
the
Omu,
city?
sorry. Ubtao.
Okay.
Ubtao, yeah. Like, Omu became this place of just, like, greed and decadence, and Ubtao left, like, basically abandoned that city, and that city pretty much destroyed itself. And then he basically left all of Chult eventually, as all of the cities and the stuff that's now all ruins were, Ubtao lost favor with all of them because, like, they were all the greedy assholes. So he's like, man, fuck you guys. Like, you guys don't deserve me. And he essentially kind of gave up on all of Chult. Then after that, lesser-known gods kind of came in and, like, filled that spot, including people also started to worship some of the northern gods as they were sort of introduced to the land through Portnai and Zaru.
Okay.
Like gods like Timora and stuff like that. But Ubtao, there's a lot of ruins and a lot of stuff related to Ubtao because he was the main deity of this land for a long, long time. Before all the Chultans basically all fucked up and pissed him off.
Could I have watched Dado do the maze and then try it again?
Give me an intelligence check.
I play a song for Pyro before.
Well, that's the thing is, actually give me a perception check, Pyro. Because, Pyro, you don't know that you screwed up, and nobody was really paying enough attention to know that you screwed up. Or even if you've screwed up. So, you weren't really paying enough attention to tell whether or not what Dusty did was different than you did.
I feel like I'm playing 4E again. All the terrible, terrible low rolls.
Alright, well, I think all of us have gone at this point, so.
I rolled 20. What does that get me?
It means
So
it was
bad.
just... It was child's play to you. That's why you don't... You didn't really get, why everyone's doing this. You're like, yeah, this...
Pretty much almost straight past.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this maze on a placemat once at, a Denny's.
Yeah.
You're like,
So we're
it's-
just trying to get
Fantasy
through
Denny's.
this maze?
Well,
So they're-
everybody else seemed to think that, by tracing your finger through the maze is your way of honoring Ubtao and currying his favor. Your friends are also sort of drawn to that conclusion because they read a book. They got a chance to...
Oh, that's where it was.
Yeah, you
So
guys
this
went...
is not a literal maze.
No,
No.
it's essentially like a carving of a maze.
So
Yeah.
okay, so it's like on a tree or something.
It's it's on
It's on a
the
square.
statue's plinth.
And you just
Yeah.
okay.
Like
A lot
Ubtao's...
more sense now.
Yeah,
I was
they-
like, what are we tracing the
Oh, okay.
maze with our finger while we're in it?
Sorry.
Like we're in
yeah.
a cornfield or something.
So
That's the
essentially,
amount of,
like...
like,
what
existence.
in this shit?
Yeah, they learned about Ubtao from a book in a library, and they learned that going through a maze is a way to curry favor with Ubtao because Ubtao loved mazes. In fact, his holy symbol is a maze,
Okay.
whereas his day that's why there's so many maze carvings on this bridge. That's his symbol is a maze.
And I feel like not honoring him.
So
while
basically,
passing.
like me rolling a 20 is like we're bros now.
Pretty much. He was like, the statue may have winked at you. You may have just not noticed it.
I just give it a right back.
Winked with its ruby eyes.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Well, let's keep moving then, I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
So as you guys start moving away from the statue, you hear the grinding sound of of stone behind you.
Oh, it did open.
So you kind of look back, and the statue seems to be moving.
Mm-mm.
The statue seems to be getting up off of its because it was kind of poised almost like a panther, and it now seems to be stretching up slowly and standing, and sort of turning, and it fixes its ruby gaze upon Pyro. It doesn't seem to be looking at anybody else except for him.
I think now's the time for running. What did you do?
We're running.
So it starts to slowly, like, step down from the plinth, and you guys start taking off down the bridge, I guess. You get another, you get about 40, 50 feet down the bridge, and you see that the last 20 or so feet of the bridge is just gone.
Not gonna lie, I hope it doesn't turn into a ball and roll down this bridge.
So you guys get to the...
Seriously?
Essentially, it's like the last 20 feet of the bridge is just crumbled away.
How far drop down is it?
From this part here, it's going to be about 80, 90 feet.
Okay.
Probably like 90 feet to the jungle floor below.
If you stay in front of me, I could save you, but that's...
So you guys hightail it, you skid to a halt like Scooby-Doo style, and you guys kind of turn back, and the statue is slowly plodding its way straight towards Jafar. It seems to be making an absolute perfect beeline towards him.
Jafar, jump.
I can't jump that far.
20 feet?
You made a 15-foot jump, no problem, before.
15. I can do 18. It's 2 extra feet.
Yeah, but it's also down.
It is also down a little bit.
You might be able to get more distance.
You think with a good jump that you could make that? You might short it a little bit and catch yourself on it and scramble up, but it is not inconceivable. You're eyeing up the gap and you've got a little bit of height advantage. It is not inconceivable for you to make this jump. That is your assessment.
Sure. I thought I had some levitate-based thing for myself. I thought I used to, at least.
Did you have 10
I feel like you did.
I almost feel like you had a levitate spell that maybe you never got a chance to learn, or
It was a spell he picked up in one of
maybe,
the libraries in the
hang on,
Shadowfell.
Let me check my spellbook.
Well, you got. It could be if it's a spell scroll. It'd still be in your inventory.
I don't think it's one that he had, but I think it's something that a spell scroll or a spell book that you guys picked up had levitate.
Yeah, it was. See. It had to have been one of the spell books because I deleted it after. Looking at my list.
Oh,
yeah,
forgot.
levitate, always prepared. It was one of the spell books.
Yep.
I wrote it down.
That also
Really
reminds.
handy right now.
That also reminds me that at one point during your journey, Dusty, about a month or so in, you originally lost your spell book. Not lost your spell book, but it started to get soaked and ruined, and you weren't really able to use it for probably a couple of weeks, and then you just happened to get lucky one day, and you came across a few people camped out. There was 2 or 3 of these really mean looking mercenaries that were accompanying these two wizards, a man and a woman. And they were both bald, which was really weird because you're not used to seeing bald women very much. And they had robes that were kind of the same shade of red as the one that you're wearing. But one night, you kind of kept an eye on them, and realizing you were in kind of desperate need for a new spell book, you managed to kind of snag a spell book from them while they were sleeping and just beat the fuck out of there. But so you were able to salvage your old spell book and copy all your spells out and replace it. But you do remember that's something as you're thinking about it now, you remember it's yeah, I ran into these couple wizards hanging out in these red robes. They were bald and it was weird. It was
We'll need to do something.
You didn't really think much of it at the time because you figured it was it's really hot in Cholt, so even the woman, they must have just shaved all their hair off, to keep cool.
Does this affect me using levitate?
No.
Okay.
It's just it's another one
How
one
am I
small
gonna
piece
cast
of-
levitate?
It's one on you or on
Pyro.
On first on myself.
Cap. So
Concentration
that's
spell.
that's an action, I think, isn't it?
It is one actions, as I
One
put down
actions.
put down in my spell book. Is it a concentration?
Up
I
to
believe-
10 minutes.
Yeah. So you won't be able to cast it on somebody else as long as you are levitating.
Right. I would have to levitate myself over to the other side and then cast it on somebody else.
Yeah, you could do because it's got a range of 60 feet.
Yeah.
The
So I
statue
could
isn't
do
coming
that.
after us right now.
Well,
How-
it's continuing to advance. So sort of as Dusty's like casting this spell, the statue's probably about 20 feet away at this point, and it seems to be just marching straight to Jafar.
How slow is it? Is it slow
Fair-
enough?
Fairly slow, but not. It's big enough that it's marching at somewhat of a good clip.
I just mean, is it slow enough that we could like climb on its back?
Probably not quite that slow.
Okay. I was gonna say we might be able to catch it right across with it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna levitate myself.
Okay, you're gonna cast it and
over
putter
to
your
the
way
other
across.
side. Yeah.
Okay, so you see, you guys are all like, you guys skitter to the edge. You look back, this thing's starting to just pound the ground and advance, and you see Dusty just cast a spell and kind of float up in the air a little bit and just across the gap.
I'm getting the hell out of here.
I give while this is happening, I'm gonna quickly give Pyro inspiration, and I'm gonna cast invisibility on myself.
Okay,
I guess
I
I'm
just-
gonna get a running start and go for it.
okay, you back up about 10, 15 feet. You back up about as far as you can without getting into reach of the stone golem, which is probably only going to be about 10 feet at this point, since the thing's kind of large, so yeah, it's probably got a decent amount of reach to it. It's actually got more speed than I thought it does. Yeah. So give me an athletics check as you hurl yourself across this gorge.
Roll the inspiration, Pyro.
The 1d8.
Yep.
Okay.
19.
So you hurl yourself
That's
across.
also what I would have rolled. Alright.
You hurl yourself across the gorge, and you mostly make it. You kind of slam into. You short the jump a little bit, so you kind of catch like the other edge of the bridge, like gut first, but like your arms are up on top of it, so you're able to catch yourself. But you feel. What do you typically carry around for equipment? You have like the sword, the shield. A couple other things, all right? Sword and shield mostly. Sword, shield, and the bow.
And
Pyro-
my javelins.
Okay. I want you to roll a d4 for me, Pyro. One's going to
Don't
be
you
your...
Don't you still have that great sword as well?
Yeah, but I'm talking about stuff that he typically uses. Sword. One's going to be your sword. Two is going to be your shield. Three is going to be your bow. And 4 is going to be your javelins.
Where am I right now, by the way?
Probably about 10 feet away from him.
Am I on the other side?
Yeah, you essentially, as you were puttering across, you just saw, like, Pyro. Yeah, you're basically at the other side about the same time Pyro, like, hits this wall.
Okay. Is there
And
anything I can do to help?
I'm waiting for Pyro to roll his d4. So it's going to be your shield. So as you hit this other side, like just with force, and you catch yourself, you are confident that you're not going to slip off. That you've got a good hold of the other side of this bridge, but you feel your shield kind of start to slip off of your back.
Can I cast levitate on the shield?
As a reaction, I'm going to say that no, but I would give you a cantrip. Do you have Mage Hand as a cantrip?
Let's see.
Oh god, I don't remember my feet per second for D&D anymore.
I have.
Mage Hand is also a concentration, by the way. Oh wait, no, it's not.
No, it's just a.
I have friggin'
Because you basically just cast the hand out to do a
names
thing,
I
and
made
then.
up. I think I
Oh,
have
that's
prestidigitation, not mage hand.
I will say if you want to give me a dexterity check, sleight of hand check.
Okay.
You could kind of make a dive and grab for his shield.
Nope.
Sorry, Pyro.
It's okay.
So you feel
My
the things.
fault.
You feel the thing starting to like slip off your back. If you want, you can try and reach one of your hands off of your grip and see if you can kind of grab for it as it starts to fall.
I feel like there's more to it than that you're not telling me.
Well, you got a stable grip. You won't have to.
Yeah, you right now, like with both hands locked in, like you are perfectly. There's no way you're coming off this thing. You could reach for it. Like basically, I'll give you a dexterity saving throw. If you make it, you can reach out, grab your shield, and just kind of like toss it back up onto the bridge so it's safe. If you fail it, your shield's gone. If you fail it by a lot,
Problems.
you might have some problems.
I have a 0 in dex. So it could go really either way.
Any dice roll can go either way.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you have. If you roll 1, you're fucked.
Rolls have not
If
been
you roll a
kind
20,
to
maybe you
me.
grab it and you Captain America it across the gap and fucking smack the statue in the face. So like,
Yeah,
well,
but then it's stuck over there.
well
Speaking of which, can we get a shield of returning? That we just throw?
so as this is happening, like Wacky and Jez are still on the other side, and the statue
Visible bitch.
sort of like pushes past Wacky because this thing's taking up a good chunk of the width of this bridge. And Wacky, you feel this thing basically just shove you out of the way. Like it just walks through you like you aren't there.
I mean, if it's not after me, I probably would try to step to the side as well.
Yeah, so Jez, you move aside, and Wacky just kind of gets bowled over a bit as this thing just pushes past, and it steps right to like the very edge of the bridge and just continues to like stare at Pyro.
So it can't jump.
It
Gray statues can't jump.
It hasn't tried.
Maybe it's just
It-
trying to see if I fall.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get on it and it jump across. But if it's just gonna stare at him and not jump, no point in that.
I think I'm just gonna not risk it and let the shield fall.
You've lost so much.
I have like no AC anymore. I'm gonna drop to like 16. Fucking stupid.
I'll get you armor, buddy.
if you want, you could attempt to grab your shield.
Doesn't Jez have mage hand? Mage hand?
I do, but I'm also 20 feet away.
You know what? What's Mage Hand? 30 feet, I believe.
It's 30 feet.
Yeah.
Since you're not really doing anything, Jez, I'll give you a sleight of hand check. Or, give me a dexterity saving throw. We'll make it a dexterity saving throw to.
It's gonna be the same.
So Jez manages to sort of like whip out his invisible tickly hand, and
It's not
like
invisible.
Pyro kind of just like watches as he's like hugging the rock face, as like a single tear rolls down his cheek as his shield kind of just starts to plummet and like hit part of the bridge and start to like topple end over end and fall, and then it just stops. It drops
The
probably
tear.
about 5 to 10 feet and just
I mage
stops.
hand the tear back to his eye. No.
Dropping the shield just wipes the tear from Pyro's eye.
No. Yeah, I'll keep the shield and wait until he gets up to give it to him then.
Well, you have enough reach with this thing. It's a 20-foot gap, so you have enough reach to like place it up on the. You could basically just drop it on the other side of the bridge if you wanted to.
I'll make sure to drop it flat side down so it doesn't just roll down the bridge.
Okay. So
I
yeah.
will pull myself up.
Yep. Yeah, you scramble your way back up to the other side. You and
I will
Dusty are
pick up my
there.
shield, hug it, and I'll turn around and just like wave at Cass. I'm just like, thank you. I'll be like have a lot of tears in my eyes. Thank you.
So you guys kind of like stare off at the other side of the bridge. After a few minutes, the golem slowly turns around and eventually returns to its plinth.
I will also yell, I'm sorry, at the golem.
Yeah, it seems to take absolutely no notice of Jez. And it may or may not know if Wacky's there or not. It's kind of hard to say.
Before your spell runs out, can you take us across too?
Yeah. I'm gonna dispel my thing at this point.
Can he change the target in?
Yeah, it's kind of like a levitate.
Target can only move by pushing or pulling against a push. Target can move only by pushing or pulling against a fixed object or surface within reach, such as a wall or ceiling. Yeah.
Maybe he can't. Maybe he can only move himself.
I think he can only... You'd have to cast it
Multiple times.
multiple times.
What if he casts it on my shield, and then I get on the shield?
Oh, yeah. Also, Azaka's here. So she's also hanging around. She kind of like just moved off to the side when the golem came. Actually, no, she would have got the fuck out of dodge too. Yeah,
And jumped across.
she jumps across and just clears that gap effortlessly. It's almost a cat-like leap all the way across the gap.
Yeah.
Just clears it. It's like that meme video of that person that like jumps across like the gap in the bridge and then just keeps running. It's like that. She essentially, I think, would have jumped about the same time Pyro did, give or take, or jumped shortly after he did.
Yeah, to get away from the golem.
She wouldn't have known that the golem was not going to go after her or anybody else. So she could have been like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here."
So it's Wacky and Jez left that side.
Yeah.
We could throw them rope. They could shimmy
I can
across.
pass you rope.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
But that's still not really gonna help too much. I was really banking on that thing trying to jump.
I was not.
What? So, how do you want to get the other two people across?
And I can do another levitate.
You'd probably have to like tie a rope around ourselves, and then you could levitate us over.
Wait.
Can't you
You just have to
mage
pull
hand
on
yourself
that.
over?
What? No.
Wacky, how much do you weigh?
115 pounds.
Okay.
So with gear, you're probably looking at like 200 pounds, probably.
200 pounds probably each.
That's awfully light for a man that's 6 feet tall.
Hey, I had to adjust mine when you said
Fucking noodle arms.
Fucking hollow bird bones.
I had to adjust mine because you're like, oh, this person is 6 feet tall and they're 130 pounds. I'm like, oh shit, that's my weight. I'll adjust that down to
Maybe
that.
you're
Levitate
short.
can lift up to 500 pounds.
Yeah, that's what he's
that's
working
what I'm
out.
saying.
I would say the two of you put together are probably not more than 500 pounds.
What I was gonna suggest
Tie a rope to
is
tie yourselves together
tie each
and
other together.
Yep.
Yeah.
We seem to be doing that a lot.
Okay, so you guys take some time and like strap yourselves together. This can be as awkward or as intimate as you want it to be. Who is getting levitate cast upon? Which is probably what Dusty asks you.
I would probably cast
Probably
it
me?
on, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should
On
cast
you.
on Jez.
Why on Jez? Jez is smaller.
It's not. It doesn't
doesn't
really
matter,
matter.
that's
It's just that one person one person is like floating, and the other person is hanging from the floating person.
So who's stronger?
Technically me.
It's
Okay,
not
so
gonna.
I'll do it on Wacky
Okay.
because you're stronger, so you can hold on more.
Well, we're also tied. To
They're
each
also
other.
tied.
I know, but just in case
It's like
something
a five,
happens.
Okay.
like a 5-point harness.
So I will cast it on Wackus.
Okay. So you cast it. Wacky kind of just effortlessly kind of floats in the air a little bit.
I'm very scared.
You're basically it's basically anti-gravity's you, and you're gonna have to like kick off the bridge to float across. That's kind of the one part I forgot, that levitate in this. It's not a. It's just an anti-gravity thing. It's not a. I can fly at will wherever I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can adjust your height.
Oh yeah. Well, it wouldn't be that hard to basically just kick yourself off the end of the bridge and just go straight across.
No, I mean, on your turn, you can change the target's altitude by up to 20 feet in either direction. So you do have some control over it, but in general, yeah, they're just weightless.
So yeah, you. So Wacky starts to go across. Who tied the rope? Who wants to take the mantle of being the person who tied the rope?
I feel like Jez has been
I'll
tying
tie the
rope a
rope.
lot, so probably him.
Okay, give me a dex check. You can give me sleight of hand if you want.
It's gonna be the same either way.
So yep,
Nat 20 on the
you
wrong side.
you get across and find your ropes held, no problem. Like all your knots seem to be more than tight enough to hold you, as you just kind of hang suspended from the bottom, from underneath Wacky as she floats across the gorge. A sight which would be
In my head, I imagined it a lot more closer tied than that, but yeah.
Either or. So you make it across. All of you are on the other side of the Laughing Gorge now.
I'm not laughing.
Your friend the statue has
Crying.
gone back to his home. And that is where we will leave things off. And we will continue our group's trek through the jungles of Chult as they head south towards Kursabal to meet the bird people. The bird people of Kursabal. Thank you guys for coming out. I'm kind of shocked that once I got it working, my whole layout actually held together. I was expecting a horrible, horrible thing to happen, and the stream to just die.
Once you get it going, it'll stay fine.
You have a lot more faith in my computer than I do. The way this thing's been acting lately. Thank you guys for coming out. We will be back next week with our now slightly larger group, now that Dado's back. Now that old man Dusty has rejoined his companions for, doing what old men love to do. Just hike through horrible, desolate jungles. Like, that's what old people
Pretty
like,
much.
right?
Just a Tuesday.
Yeah, just a Tuesday. So, that is going to be it for us. See you guys next week. Where is my... Is it? See you guys next week. We are out of here.